Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to I-65. We're jumping into our League of Legends now as we head into the Belong Arena Clash Finals. This has been a long time coming for our teams. They've been playing for weeks in each of their respective Belong stores, but now we have two teams that have qualified to make it here to Insomnia. And it's about time that they play off and find out who the League of Legends champions are going to be. So without further ado, let me introduce to the stage our two teams. First, starting on the right-hand side of the stage, let me introduce the London Lionhearts. There they are, stepping onto the stage, confident and ready for some League of Legends action. But their opponents are certainly no slouch either. Coming from the north of England, on the left side of the stage, we're going to have the T-side Steelers. Now the Steelers already with one win on the board today. The Steelers managed to win the FIFA tournament this morning. They're looking for a second one in the books already, but they have a full best of 5 ahead of them, and the London Lionhearts are not going to allow this one to go down without a fight. I cannot wait to see how this action is going to unfold. So it's about time that I kick it over to our casters and get this grand final underway.
Thank you, Munchables. My name is Stanley Greyheart Barker, and I am once again joined by Stuart Sin McLeod.
And after weeks of waiting, we've made it here to the final stage at Insomnia 65. The teams have fought for so long for a chance at that title, a chance at Forge of Champions, and now it all hangs on this best of 5.
There is so very much up for grabs, not just the pride of winning, but all those wonderful prizes that come alongside it as well. T-side Steelers coming into this game, arguably as the favourites, having won their group. In that very same group, they faced off in week 1 against the London Lionhearts. In that game, they came off the victor.
Of course, as you mentioned, yeah, both of these teams did come from the same group in that tournament, with London ended up coming second in that group. T-side ended up being the only first seed that didn't get knocked out in the quarterfinals from their groups. So the last team that's undefeated here at this tournament, as opposed to London, who dropped a game in the groups and then fought their way through Clyde, through Stratford to be here today.
Yeah, one thing is guaranteed today, Sin, and that is going to be that we are getting a brand new Belong Arena Clash League of Legends champion, because the previous winners, the Portsmouth Pirates 5-time winners, knocked out in the group stage. The Clyde Claymores, the only other team to take out the final, knocked out in the knockout stage. And now we get teams who have previously been in the finals, knowing that one of them is at least going to rectify some of their previous wrongs.
Yeah, and both of these teams were knocked out in the finals by Portsmouth, so them not making it to that playoff stage has to be a lot off their minds, as they have the ability now to try and take this finals by storm and rush in. We know that Steelers, they have seemed a little bit nervous as they were in the last finals, maybe a little bit nervous today. And that stage experience, as all 5 of these members are returning from the previous final, is definitely something to play on the mind.
Yeah, and that previous final was a year almost to the day back here at Insomnia 63, whereas for the Lionhearts, Insomnia 64 in April was when they had that incredible match, unfortunately getting reverse swept by Portsmouth. Only 1 returning player in comparison to the 5 returning members of the Steelers.
And we have to say that though, we're not quite sure how a lot of these players will respond. As you say, Regan, the only returning player from that London Lionhearts roster, the shot caller for the team, will he be the leader? We don't know how these other 4 members will end up showing up on this stage. They could be these big carry performers, and the stage could bring life to them. Like we saw in the FIFA earlier, we saw one of the amateur players take down 2 professionals back to back. So that kind of life breathed into a team from one player who just feels it on the day could turn it all in their favor.
Yeah, and as Munchable said, Steelers coming in the victors against the Claymores in FIFA, that maybe will put some momentum onto the T-side Steelers here with their League of Legends team looking to pick up their 2nd win of the day. Already the bans coming through thick and fast. Nar, Gangplank and Udyr taken away by the Lionhearts. The Steelers ban the Jarvan, the Kled and the Thresh.
And you have to take the Udyr away from Casanero, one of his best champions, has played that to around a master tier level, so very comfortable on that. On the other hand, Precision going for this this early Varus is rather surprising. It's not a pick that we've seen be the #1 in AD carry recently. It goes to more likely the likes of the Xayah, the Kai'Sa, those kind of picks that are more skirmish heavy.
True Rambo is going to be playing that. Varus is one of the players for the Lionhearts who has been more vocal. He's been speaking to me at length, talked exactly about how he was hoping to make that Varus work. We'll see whether the team around it is able to enable that.
But the early Camille for Arc the Dragon here, a pick that's been picked up in Korea quite a lot, not really shown up elsewhere in the world, but it has been so dominant over there as a top lane force. So Arc the Dragon trying to enable this top lane 2v2 that we know has been the focus for the T-side Steelers so fervently over the last few weeks. I'm expecting that Trundle to go into the jungle as well, so that 2v2 is a force to be reckoned with. They need to find those early kills in the game. They need to start getting that snowball rolling, getting the momentum in their favor, because that's when the nerves wash away. That's where you feel comfortable on stage and you can make play after play after play.
So the Trundle that you mentioned there locked in alongside the Morgana for the Steelers as they complete their first phase of picks. The Lionhearts, on the other hand, they go for the Bard, they go for the Sejuani. Yet again with that Bard, another champion that Lionhearts told me they really had prepared for today.
Yeah, the Bard and the Varus. This can't be understated as how good this is at playing aggressive as a bot lane. With the Bard, it can get those picks very easily with a Q, does a lot of damage. And Varus getting a free Q off the back of there's a Bard stun. You can land all your abilities. And if you go for the lethality Varus, the poke in this lane to just keep an enemy out of that range, keep an enemy out of your lane altogether and get the zoning to get the CS, the control this can give can enable Lovesick to have so much more freedom around the map.
And with these bans, the two teams are really showing that they've come in today with a set game plan. They know exactly what they're trying to achieve. The Jax and the Fiora taken away from Precision. Xayah and Caitlyn taken away from Halsey. He's a sub coming in today, replacing Liam, who's played through the split for the Steelers. The Lionhearts themselves putting Ram in instead of God mid in the mid lane.
Yeah, Halsey and Durza are going to be that bot lane. And it is the old bot lane for the team. They have made finals with this bot lane before. However, they haven't practiced together much throughout the split. You have to say that the fact that they've been practicing every day this week has been needed for them to be able to get the synergy together in this bot lane to compete with a bot lane that's been together all season, and the likes of Regan, who has shown to be a veteran in Arena Clash.
We've talked a lot about Precision and how important he is to the London Lionhearts team. I was wondering what he was going to pick up. The Camille picked away, the Jax, the Fiora band. He goes for the Crocodile. Renekton's on the Rift.
And Renekton, one of these champions that can be so oppressive in the 2v2, especially when you pair it with a Sejuani. So your empowered W, you get the instant Sejuani stun off the back of it. The 2v2 can find picks very quickly, but it is all about getting the jump on the Camille without Trundle being there to stop you, because he can turn those fights so quickly in his own favor. Earlier
on today, we had a show match on this stage between the Army, the Air Force, and the Belong Arena Clash All-Stars for Overwatch, and I had the opportunity to speak to one of the Army gentlemen who was more of a League of Legends player, and he said, you know what I really love? Mid lane Malzahar, but we don't see it very much. Well, if he's here in the crowd now, he's getting his witch. He's going to get to see Ram picking this one up for the Lionhearts.
Well, it's not just Ram that's been picking it as well. We have actually seen it a couple times in the last few weeks, and Ram played it in both games during their semi-final. This is a comfort pick for him. The Zillion is also there on the table for him as well, but the Malzahar, in terms of the pick potential of what he's got to do, is just lock that one target down, set them up for a Varus ult, set them up for a Renekton to dive on them. The amount of single target CC they have to make picks is immense. So we're looking between that level 9 and 11 mark. And that is the point at which they can blow this game wide open and start to make pick after pick and roll through the map, where they can take down towers, they can push vision deeper into the enemy jungle. And if you lock this enemy team out of vision, then it's a lot easier for you to just collapse onto somebody who's face checking a brush where they just shouldn't be.
Yeah, and vision is very much something that the Lionhearts have told me they feel like they can play around very, very well. So let's see whether or not they carry that through to this grand final. We are playing on the live patch 9.16. We've got the changes to Pantheon, who unfortunately hasn't been picked up in this game. We might see him across this best of 5. There are obviously a lot of other small changes coming in, some buffs here and there.
Yeah.
Anyone that you look at particularly across this composition as particularly strong in 9.16?
Not in particularly, but as I said, the Camille is something that's not been picked up yet by a lot of regions, and it has been very, very strong in Korea. So I want to see a lot more of it building towards the later times, building towards Worlds patches coming up fairly soon, where it is going to be one of the most dominant top laners, again, similar to last year. I mean, it got a Worlds skin, and it's been changed very little since then. Bring it back.
Two of the champions, of course, that always get talked about around about Worlds, Corki and Azir, getting themselves a little bit of a nerf. It's almost like we don't want to see that permanently at Worlds this time. Not seeing it today either.
But that's one of the biggest changes in leading into 9.16. Azir Corki, this slow gameplay of stall the game out until you've got your Triforce, until you've got 2-3 items, that is dying. We are all about skirmishing mid laners right now. The Kiana, the Akali have been the prevalent meta in pro play. So when we look at these two mid laners here as the Malzahar and the Orianna, both champions that want to make plays with the ultimate, both champions that want to assist their team in making these proactive moves, it kind of fits into that more skirmishing style, even though it is a little bit stronger, a little bit weaker rather, in the pre-6.
That makes perfect sense. Speaking of the way that champions play into certain compositions, we've now had an opportunity to look at the drafts. Both of the teams spoke to me about what they felt were their strengths, what were their weaknesses, what they wanted to play towards. Do you feel like either of these drafts says, yes, this is our aim, this is our win condition?
Like I said, I've been focusing a lot on this London draft, but I really like what they've done here. They've comfortably set up around, they've got a good amount of skirmishing power with the top jungle duo. They've got the assist in terms of the pick potential in the mid lane and that bot lane with a Varus Bard. That is a pick-heavy bot lane that can get some decent control. So they are all building towards setting up a siege in mid lane and making pick after pick after pick.
And then what do the Steelers need to do to make sure that that's broken apart?
Honestly, what you need to do is shut down that bot lane so the bot lane is constantly under pressure. Then the Varus Bard being just shoved mid just doesn't have as anywhere near the threat it should. Because a Varus Bard that can't win out in the 2v2 is a Varus Bard that is never going to be able to hold that mid lane on their own. They're going to need extra members, then suddenly your siege potential is ruined.
That's a little bit of a concern for me for the Steelers, because we've talked so much about how top and jungle are essentially two of the most important lanes. You'd expect to see the Trundle going up towards the top lane, helping out. The same with the Sejuani. If those two champions spend so much time in the top lane and that bottom lane gets neglected, that can only be good for the Lionhearts.
Yeah, and that top lane 2v2 that we've delved a little bit into already has to be one of the focuses, where we talked about Casanero on one side, and I'm looking at Precision on the other here in terms of what he can do on the Renekton, because the Renekton has the ability to just win out against the Camille early, because he has that much more early pressure once he hits that level 3-4 mark. It's Camille, once she starts to get to those later stages and can start to play around disengaging and re-engaging with her E repeatedly, that she can poke him out, chunk him out bit by bit, and be fairly non-committal on engages. Renekton, he has to commit. It means that she eventually can win out the split push. So it's all about Sejuani to turn that lane in their favor as early as possible. As if Renekton starts winning that lane, it takes a long time for him to start.
All right, well, tough to say exactly who's going to be taking game one, and only time will certainly tell us, and we will have the opportunity to see just who takes this first game of a best-of-5 series. So much is now on the line, Sim, because it's not just the pride of being the Belong Arena Clash Summer Champions. It's not just the prizes that come from, people like the great folks over at Plantronics and Rig who provide headsets to us, and, they've done a great job sponsoring us all year. We greatly appreciate that. But there's this new prize that's come in. Do you want to tell us all about that?
So with the Forge of Champions being the spot that you earn, it gives you the ability to try and qualify for the UKLC through the Arena Clash systems. If you're the winner of Arena Clash, you get an automatic spot in the Forge of Champions. And that means you're going to be competing against a few other seeds from other tournaments, some open qualifier teams, and they'll all be competing for the right to earn a spot in the UKLC.
Okay, so that's a really, really huge prize. That's literally a money can't buy prize that those players are going to be getting. And those players are now onto the Rift. For the first time today, we see them spreading themselves out. We're having a little look at the Lionhearts here. Fog of War not showing us the Steelers just yet, but now we see them splaying out, taking the 5-point defensive system.
Yeah, this is the line of scrimmage that you expect in the modern meta. Where, if you've got a pick comp, though, generally what I want to see them do is try and find a way to stack up and catch a member out of position. Generally, what you see most members do is walk towards one of the tribe rushes as 5, but when you're against the Camille, she can just start E and get out of that pretty easily. Maybe a little bit of a waste. They want to avoid getting deep vision.
Casanero, what a troll. It starts so soon. I haven't been given a limit for the number of puns I'm made to make by my producer today, so unfortunately you're in for a rough ride, Sin.
Oh, God.
All right, it's a nice, slow, steady start. We're seeing the wards coming through, people playing it safe. No one wants to give any early advantages away in this big, big match because, of course, whoever takes this first game, not only do they go 1-0 up in a best-of-5 series, but they get that crucial momentum.
Yeah, so this is a slow start. Generally, what you want to do is just feel out your time on stage. You just want a few moments to slow it down and just try and get a feel for how it is. If you start trying to force it too early and it goes wrong, the tilt can set in extremely quickly.
My eyes already turning towards Regan. This is a man who likes to roam, and he's making his presence known. Doesn't quite manage to get in and get a steal.
That is exactly what we're talking about, though. If he managed to steal that blue buff, the mental damage that it would do to the entire side of T-side Steelers, but they start to lose confidence in themselves the moment the game starts, is where the psychological war could already be won.
Okay, just a nice slow burn start. This is over the course of Arena Clash, this split. We have seen all sorts of different games. We have seen kill-heavy games that have spiraled out of control before the 5-minute mark. We've seen others where there's not been any first blood until 25 minutes. What are you predicting here?
I predict it is going to be a slow start. Like I say, both teams just want the time to feel out the stage, get comfortable. Once they start to get that comfort under wraps, then they can start to be able to make more aggressive plays, and that should take around the perfect timing for the London Lionhearts to get to the point of the game where they want to be strong. That sort of level 9 to 11 mark, where they've got their cooldowns, they've got their first item completed, and they can start to use their ultimates to make plays.
Casanero clearing out his jungle a little bit faster than we're seeing Lovesick doing so far. That's definitely an advantage for the Trundle, who'll be looking to make those level 3 plays.
Yeah, the Trundle just wants to farm up to a level 3 and then be able to gank efficiently with red buff, whereas the Sejuani, she can be effective when she pairs up with the Renekton, but generally you see a Sejuani want to farm the 6. And Sejuani has been at the point where she is first pickable in most setups, where she is just so strong at being a tanky jungler who can be an engaged threat. But when you pair her with a melee, she becomes that much better at being an early game pressure, doesn't have to just rely on the ultimate to be an ult bot. The E becomes that much more valuable.
Already we're seeing the junglers hovering towards the top side of the map. Lovesick and Casanero, they're meeting around about this scuttle, looking to see where they're going to contest. Precision has stepped quite far forward, but of course the Lionhearts do have that information as to where the Trundle was.
And because Ram has priority in the mid lane, they're able to shove it out. They're able to force the Casanero off of the Scuttle Crab, and that means that they've got the pressure they need.
One more light immediately backing away, respecting Lovesick's presence. Casanero managing to land the pillar on towards Ram, fortunately not being forced to burn the flash.
Yeah, just has to hover around though, because the wave is kind of almost freezing away from him if it doesn't touch this. So Ram has to stay and use that last spell on the wave. It means that One More Light is going to get the priority recall off if she wants it. Instead, utilizes that time to go and get an extra ward and keep shoving.
And this is what Regan is going to be doing all game long. He has all the interest in the world in helping other lanes, not just going around with True Rambo. True Rambo has told me himself he's kind of willing to be the sacrificial lamb. Play safe, maybe lose a little bit of CS, let Regan go and do his thing.
Yeah, he's going to be the guerrilla warfare on his own, just kind of hovering around that bot side, whereas he's going to allow Regan to go around the map wherever he wants, but Precision...
He's all sorts of caught out flashes away from the pillar, summoner spell burnt.
Yeah, having to blow that flash early in this 2v2 where we talked about this is going to be the focus for both teams. That gives you that much more pick potential once Arc the Dragon hits 6 and has the ability to lock him down with that Hextech ultimatum. Because, you know, throw the hexagon on his head, trap him in, and it makes the Trundle able to help finish him off.
And Arc the Dragon is that little bit closer to level 6 than Precision is, just currently holding this wave up, making sure he doesn't overstep too much.
Yeah, just freezing it away from him, meaning if he wants to get any CS, he has to overcommit, and that's what we're seeing right now. There's a big aggressive trade.
Precision getting the damage down, managing to trigger his keystone, but it's going to be Arc the Dragon who's still on the better health in this top lane duel.
I'm liking what we're seeing so far from Arc the Dragon. We said he is the focus for this team. He has been named as the primary carry, but Precision wants to shut down that carry early.
He certainly does, yet again looking to make the most of that Conqueror. Arc the Dragon this time losing out on the trade. Meanwhile, Lovesick with the control ward has got Casanero just where he wants him. Casanero stunned up, Regan flashing forward, getting the binding. First blood in the series goes to the London Lionhearts and the returning captain Regan.
And he leads the charge as we said he needed to. They wanted to find these early plays to get that confidence on stage, and Regan is the man to do that, the one remaining member from the last finals.
Ocean Dragon being taken, and Arc the Dragon having to flash away from Precision. Of course, Precision not having the flash himself to follow, but gets that key summoner out of Arc. Meanwhile, the Ocean Dragon will be secured by the London Lionhearts.
And you can suddenly see the confidence that Precision gets the moment they get that kill on the bot side. He suddenly has all the pressure off of his shoulders. He knows the team's winning elsewhere, so he can afford to be a bit more aggressive. Finds a nice trade, and he is pressuring out Arc the Dragon quite efficiently, forcing the flash out on his own.
And Ram doing a decent job just keeping himself level in mid. He's similar to True Rambo in that he's having to play things slow, play things steady, not get caught out, allowing Precision and Lovesick to do their work across the rest of the map.
Yeah, and of course the TP advantage being held now by Precision means they can look to make a play towards this bot side around level 6. Look at the dive potential you have when you have a Sejuani and a Malzahar.
It is certainly a hell of a prospect for the London Lionhearts.
Yeah, it's something that they have to definitely be aware of when you look at the summoner spells here, that you have to think about the fact that Renekton at level 6 is such a big threat. He can just walk into that bot side and pressure you out. And with that early BF sword, we know he's going for the Shojin, so his 1v1 pressure is immense.
It is going to be real crazy if that Crocodile starts chomping down on you all of a sudden. Meanwhile, Casanero is actually fallen considerably behind in comparison to Lovesick, who had the early disadvantage.
Yeah, we talked about scaling a little bit earlier though, and I want to go more into that because we said that if Arc the Dragon is able to survive and doesn't get pressured out, once he starts to get 1.5, 2 items, he can play a more non-committal style. Eat in, eat out. When you've got that on a lower cooldown, you can chunk out Renekton one bit at a time, and it makes it that much easier to play this lane. You look at the fact that Camille can be a very effective ball delivery system in those later parts of the game with the E-Flash, working similar to an E-Flash from a Gragas in that sense.
Well, Precision once again going forward. Arc the Dragon opting into this fight. Dominance immediately used by Precision. Arc the Dragon does not have the flash available. He is dead to rights. Precision 1-0 in the top lane duel between these two crucial carries.
You have to say a little bit of a questionable E-in from Arc the Dragon, and maybe the on-stage nerves are getting to him, because Precision just looks like the better top laner right now.
Yeah, things looking very, very good for him. Despite the early presence from Casanero, it is actually going to be the Lionhearts top laner who secures himself the first kill. Look at that insta-buy of Tabbies, the respect coming in from Arc the Dragon.
Yeah, and you can see he wants to get that Tiamat to be able to wave clear a little bit easier, but the early presence of those Ninja Tabbies needed to help him just survive a little bit longer.
It's going to be Casanero who is now stepping up. He's not really been able to make any ganks since having been killed in his own jungle. And this is part of the impact that Regan has had. He's set Casanero so far behind, certainly in his own head, that now the ganking impact has gone from Trundle.
Yeah, and the Trundle wanted to help that 2v2 swing towards the Camille. Unfortunately, he isn't able to do that. And now the 2v2 has almost become self-sustainable, where you don't have to put so many resources into the Renekton, and he can win out that matchup on his own as long as you can lock Trundle out of it. So then you can start to look maybe at making plays towards the bot lane. Like we said, the TP plays towards the bot side could potentially be an option. The Malzahar shoving mid faster than the Orianna can, walking towards the bottom side of the map, and just setting up a dive with those high amounts of CC that they've got.
Meanwhile, the tale of two substitutes is very much underway. We can see there in the mid lane that One More Light not quite able to even get a CS advantage against the substitute Ram. In the bot lane, the opposite is very, very true, because there is the advantage for the man who is part of the regular roster.
Yeah, and Ram feels a lot more comfortable in this roster. He has been there for a while, and even though Hazy has some experience in the past of this roster, it has been a while since he was on the squad. So we need to see him start to find that form again.
Yep, and we are back onto the Rift. That small delay was only that. Nothing like what we had to deal with last time, Sin. I'm sure you've heard the horror stories, but it's not happening today, I promise you.
Yeah, hopefully not. That's all I can say about that. But what I'm looking at right now, though, is what is the next step for London Lionhearts? Because they've got a small early advantage. We're sitting on a 1k early advantage. How do you now snowball this? And it is, as we say, moving the mid laner around the map, having the shove advantage, but Precision maybe caught out.
He goes aggressive on the Dragon with the Hextech ultimatum, forcing the flash.
Uh-oh, 3 members.
But here comes the rest of the team. Regan with a massive roam. The ultimate lands from Lovesick. Regan is here with the follow-up. Precision gets his second kill of the game. We're going to see the Tempered Fate not quite catching on to Arc the Dragon, but that is absolutely brilliant in terms of turnaround for London Lionhearts. Ram also managing to catch out One More Light as he roamed through jungle to try and support his team. The Herald is started up. Lionhearts continue to accentuate this lead.
And once again, Regan is exactly where his team needed him to be. Turns that 1v2 in the top lane into a 3v2, getting them the kill, getting them the Rift Herald off the back of it. And now we set about ballooning the lead from moving the mid laner up. No, Regan says we don't need a mid laner. I can do that job for us.
We asked just how well the returning Regan would do. He was here on this stage just a few months ago, losing out, being reverse swept by the Portsmouth Pirates.
He wants his revenge.
He's looking to turn things around. He wants the redemption story. but so do all of these Steelers. They have had lost finals, every single one of them on that stage, and you've got to feel like right now they've got to settle themselves. They've got to untilt and turn things around.
And you want to slow it down, but that's exactly what London Lionhearts are denying by dropping this Rift Herald in the top lane. They are accelerating the tempo of this game. They get the first tower, they open up the map, they open up a long lane for an Exon to exist in now, where suddenly the Camille can't escape.
Which, considering the Camille was actually the first pick that we saw on the red side, it's quite surprising just to see how well Precision's been doing against it. Unfortunately, because of all that pressure in the top lane, we are going to see the Ocean Dragon, a number 2, being secured by Casanero and co.
Yeah, they're going to even out the Ocean Dragons. It is just an Ocean Dragon, so not going to provide too much, but all the same, just evening out those stats, making sure that the late game Elder Dragon isn't as much of a prospect.
Drazar is now back in the lane, trying to do everything that he can to assist his ADC, who of course has come in, like we say, as a sub. Makes things a little bit harder, but it's all about the scaling for this Ezreal. Yes, he's 10 CS behind, but he's already stacking the tier. He's already getting that extra kick coming in from the Sheen.
Yeah, getting that early Sheen does help with the laning a lot, but all we're seeing is True Rambo basically laning 1v2 and doing it pretty efficiently at that, where he's surviving the lane matchup, he's got a decent amount of pressure, and he's allowing Regan to go everywhere else and apply pressure elsewhere. Yeah,
and the fact that we've got 100% kill participation, well, actually, sorry, just short of 100% kill participation there is going to mean that actually, you know, Regan is doing a pretty damn good job of roaming around and doing what he wants.
Yeah, so I like the early GLP purchase from Ram. What I do want to touch on is the fact that he has gone Glacial. We've seen this a couple of times from him. You go for the Super Soaker, as I know you like to call it.
I certainly do.
Into the Spooky Ghosts, and it gives you that much more pick pressure around the map, where you use the Spooky Ghost to collapse on a target who's maybe out of position, then you stick to them with the Super Soaker and you ult them, meaning that you give so much time for the rest of your team to catch up. And if a member's even slightly out of position, they die for it.
Yeah, it's been an interesting split in terms of new adaptations with strategies. Of course, we've had Frostmancy. Now we're getting this I've completely forgotten the name of it. The Malzahar's keystone is...
The Glacial Augment.
Glacial Augment, thank you
One of
very
the things that you can see here, and it's one of the things that I've seen a little bit in amateur play, is we're going to see...
It looked like Lovesick was called out, but he forces the flash out of Drazar, immediately respecting, going over the wall, has used the Black Shield, however, he's not going to be able to dodge away from the Tempered Fate. Beautiful play from Regan. He timed the binding perfectly, and Ram is here gratefully accepting a free kill.
And he tanks that Dark Binding, not caring, because he has the Malzahar passive on him. That's going to net them a blue buff and a kill. 4-0 for the London Lionhearts. They're looking to be in dominant form. What I just wanted to say a moment ago is you use the Spooky Ghost into instantly a Regan ultimate, you catch somebody out of position, the rest of your team can collapse. Just as I'm about to say it, he uses the Tempered Fate, catches Morgana out, and is able to net his team a kill for it.
And the reward is a 4,000 gold lead at the 13.5-minute mark for the London Lionhearts. They're looking so good in this first game of the final.
And you know, T-side, they were the team that we've said for so long is accelerating games, is accelerating the tempo of matches as quickly as they can. But today they said they wanted to come in because they were feeling a bit nervous. They wanted to slow it down. They didn't want to rush it as much as they did last time around. And we're seeing the effects of that. They're weak in the early game and it's being punished hard.
Ram caught out by the Shockwave. One more light, has the Black Shield on, trying to get as much damage as he can from the enhanced auto attacks. The stopwatch stops the True Shot Barrage from picking up a kill, and we see the London Lionhearts still deathless.
And the stopwatch saves his life. League of Stopwatches, boys. Already coming through, but I really like the timing on that. He held his nerve till so late. I thought it had already made contact, but just in time gets it.
Yeah, really clever play coming out of Ram. He is definitely the substitute who's showing up a little bit more, denying the kill there from his fellow sub Halesey. Liam and Godmid, they did a great job through the regular split, getting these two teams here, but now it's down to these two teams to show up and show whether their regular lineup and their sub can do the job. We already are seeing the Quicksilver Sashes being purchased, and they might be needed, but Drazar, he's not got one. He throws the ultimate down, but he is dead before the damage comes through. Drazar dead for the second time. This time the kill passed over to True Rambo.
And Drazar has not yet paid the toll, and therefore she dies. That is the way this game will work. The amount of CC and lockdown they have from such a long range means that you all need to purchase the likes of a QSS. You all need to have some kind of cleanse, or you're going to get picked out time and time again, and maybe Arc the Dragon's next on the plate.
Certainly looks like it may well be. Precision uses the Dominus. We're going to see a nice use of that hook to try and get Arc Dragon to safety. However, he flashes away. It's not enough. Precision now with a 3-0-0 scoreline takes himself a turret for good measure, and the London Lionhearts are nearly 6,000 gold in the lead.
Not just next on the plate, next on the silver platter as Precision picks up another kill now, 3-0. We talked about the Shojin. He's getting even more CDR now. So he's going to be able to fight rotation after rotation. This is the build that's not about 1v1. This is team fight centric. He wants to fight in the center of 3 or 4 people consistently getting down damage. And he can do that while still surviving because he's got that many tank stats when he uses his ultimate.
I mean, this game is not over by any means. The Steelers still have ways in. They have a lot of scaling still to come through. However, things are definitely looking good for the Lionhearts. They got that early game snowball. They're taking it into the mid game now. And what do they need to do to continue this ascendancy they have?
They just need to continue doing what they're doing. As we say, like, they want to get these outer towers down. The mid lane tower, though, has to be the key. The moment this mid lane tower falls, the vision that they consistently can push deeper into the enemy jungle allows you to get pick after pick. That's what we always talk about with these kind of pick compositions. You have the ability to just blow the game wide open by taking that mid lane tower. The moment somebody walks past pretty much their red buff, they are in the range of all of your abilities. So you need to just be pushing up hard, denying every bit of vision you can, and then snowballing your advantage or denying any resources and access to the river.
Yeah, so for anyone who's been watching the Cinderella story of Phelan in the UKLC over the last week, they'll know the Infernal Dragon had a big part to play in it. However, today we're not going to see any such thing. We're going to see our third Ocean Dragon of the game. This one is going to be the second one secured by the London Lionhearts. It will be a Cloud Dragon next.
Okay, but Stan, think of it this way. We've run out of Ocean Dragons.
We can't have any more.
We can't have any more Ocean Dragons. We have to get a fun dragon now. Even Cloud is more fun at this point because the amount of collapse potential that we talked about from the Sejuani, from the Bard, from the Malzahar makes it that much easier to make picks if you're moving just that little bit faster than your enemy.
Morgana playing a bit of a dangerous game, trying to clear out the vision in her own jungle. You know things are tough when you're struggling just to clear out the wards in your own side. Teleport is going to be used by the Steelers, trying to keep this turret alive, but the immediate stun comes through. We're going to see Castanero doing everything he can, already throwing down the Subjugate, but here comes Precision. He's jumped right in the middle of the fight. The turret is going to drop. The turret shot stopping coming through. The massive Tempered Fate goes on to all 4 members, make it 5. Here comes Hextech Ultimatum in return, but the first steal goes over to Regan. We're going to see Orianna pick one back up, and it's a 2-for-1 for the London Lionhearts. They get the turn, they get an extra kill, but they lose their first death of the game.
And Precision went in deep on low HP, trying to make sure he could secure the kill. But one of the things that was most noteworthy in that fight is Ram's ultimate and the percentage health damage pool underneath it consistently hit 2 people for its entire duration. The amount of damage that puts down onto those more bruisery members of the Trundle, who does not yet have any resistances to speak of other than those Mercury treads, and the Camille as well, it just shreds them to pieces. It makes it so easy for the rest of the team to pick them up. And this is the snowball allowing to be pushed further. Now that mid lane tower's fallen, they can push the vision deeper, like we say, get even more picks.
I'm really interested to see the Lionhearts opting for these team fights, actually. The way that they're making the picks, the way that they're just continuing to spiral out of control, using their CC to the full advantage, is exactly what they will have been hoping to achieve beforehand. True Rambo now with a Knight's Vow on top of him is going to be even that little bit harder to kill.
Yeah, and that Knight's Vow, it's actually, you said on True Rambo, he's going to have the Knight's Vow from the Sejuani, but she's already a knight.
Oh, don't go TFT on me so soon, Sin.
Yeah, I mean, getting the double knight buff isn't worth it, that's all I'm going to say. But the one item I do want to look at is the Shirelia's Reverie in the bot lane for Regan. It's an old item, I do still love it.
Gotta go faster, man.
Cheap as hell, that item. And you get that mini Righteous Glory effect, you get all the stats you want, you get AP, you get movement speed for such a low cost. The active allows you to have that old sort of Talisman of Ascension active that was a staple in all those fun movement speed meme builds.
Yeah, we're not seeing any Sivir at the moment, but we're still seeing plenty of opportunity for a speedy boy.
Low key, I did love going Singed, where you go Talisman of Ascension just to meme on people, where you get the extra movement speed boost.
That just sounds horrible.
It is horrible, but now you've got Shirelia's, you can do it even better.
I'm not sure that better is the right word.
Maybe worse is the word, yeah.
Meanwhile, just look at what's happened to happen here. We've got 4 members of the Steelers all clumped up inside their own jungle, desperately trying to clear out vision, trying to get as many of the camps for themselves as they possibly can. They've managed to stem the bleeding slightly with the kills that have been given over recently, but they're still losing turrets. They're still getting pressurized deeper and deeper, and it's not going to be long until the Lionhearts are at their base gates.
Like we said here, though, they're too afraid to make plays of their own. This is the first time we've actually seen them do anything proactive, and it's about to be turned against them.
Well, maybe they should be afraid. Dre's are already being slowed down by the Bard. It's going to be Precision going through and absolutely one-shotting the remaining amount of Morgana's health. A flash forward, a double kill for Renekton. Precision now 5, 1 and 2. We talked about the top lane carry for London Lionhearts, and it is so true in this game.
Yeah, the top jungle has been huge, but Regan in the bot lane in this supporting role has been more than just a support. He has been a carry in his own right.
2, 0 and 7, only not involved in 1 kill.
Exactly, 90% kill participation has been everywhere his team has needed him to be, and now they're able to go onto the Baron, and without a Camille, they're afraid to even start to look for a fight.
This is quite interesting. Castanero getting that ward down. The control ward is deep enough that has not been cancelled out, so Castanero knows exactly what's going on, but he's already been charged on top of fire. So with the Glacial present, that's going to be the shockwave pulling back too. One more light takes down Lovesick. Regan going low, but Castanero going even lower. True Rambo getting his first kill there as Precision comes in to help. Arc the Dragon dashing straight onto the Baron. Meanwhile, the Baron has been stopped and Precision has been left for dead. The Bard portal takes him to safety. Halesey is going to try and run after him, but it looks like it's just going to be the 2 for 1, this time in favour of the Steelers.
And the cracks start to show for the London Lionhearts, finally, and the Steelers pounce on it. What we saw there was indecision, rife throughout the side of London Lionhearts. Half of them wanted to go over the wall, half of them wanted to kill the Trundle first, half of them were trying to finish the Baron, and that 1 by 1 over the wall costs them dearly. They lose the mid lane tower, and they lose the massive amount of tempo advantage that they'd held for so long.
Momentum may be slowly starting to shift. For the first time, a kill advantage in a fight goes to the Steelers. They get their first turret on the back of it as well. They reduce the goal lead to just under 7,000. A Cloud Dragon has spawned. I don't think that's going to be the biggest concern in the world for the Steelers right now, though.
Yeah, the Cloud Dragon definitely helped London Lionhearts, though, as we said, just roaming around the map, using the fact that they have all this space to move in because they've got all these 3 outer towers, can be that much more effective, but they need to be moving as a cohesive unit of 5. They need to be playing as a cohesive unit as 5. Like we said, the first time we saw the cracks in the shot calling was just then, when the team wasn't fully committed onto killing the Trundle or finishing the Baron. So we need to see them be more decisive around these plays. And maybe that's the nerves of the stage starting to affect them as well. That Baron is known for its massive effect on people's shot calling. We know the old memes of Dignitas throwing at Baron, but it can affect a team dearly.
They were winning until they lost.
Stage. You just think, if this Baron goes wrong, do we lose the game? So half of them think we need to 100% it, and half of them aren't on that page. Everybody needs to be on that same.
As I watched the Baron being started up there, it seemed like a very questionable call. I felt like they were maybe trying to bait out some wards, get someone in, but then the Baron kept being taken by half of them, as you say, and it just all seemed very, very questionable. And meanwhile,
see how they can earn this tempo back.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they've got to do right now.
And one of the ways is Renekton finding a solo kill in the bot lane. So he's pushing in deep, and he needs to either draw as many people bot lane as possible for his team to make a play on the other side of the map, or pressure out Arc the Dragon well enough to the point where he is allowed to move on his own to the other side of the map or use his TP advantage.
We're in a world with 3 teleports on each team, the top laners, the mid laners, and the ADCs. In that world, the Lionhearts have all 3. The Steelers own, actually, I take it back, one more light's just got his back, but Halesey also has his. Arc the Dragon does not. So if this Camille versus Renekton continues to duke it out in the bot lane, it is only the Renekton who's going to be able to join his team.
As you can see, one more light hovering around the bot lane. This is exactly what Precision wants. Draw as many members away from the T-side Steelers as possible towards him. The more resources they commit to shutting down Precision, the less resources are there to stop them from getting full vision control around Baron, and they're just starting it up.
I thought it'd be a case of once bitten, twice shy, but no, the Lionhearts go straight after the Baron. That ward is still not disabled at the back of the pit.
Yeah, and they are just going to try and scout it out a little bit, try and force them to respond. They don't think anybody's responding, so they instantly back off. Maybe a little bit too shy on that one.
Yeah, quite possibly. It felt like they could have gone a little longer, but of course you don't want to risk a potential 50-50 in a game where you've got such a convincing lead. No reason to give the game back over to the Steelers.
The Steelers, they want to slow the tempo down of the game, like we say. This game had been accelerated so massively by the use of the Rift Herald, and it didn't slow down from that point. But like we keep coming back to, that Baron call seems to have taken this game into a lull state where we just have to wait and see who has the confidence to make the next play. And I want London Lionhearts to get that little bit of wind underneath them, make a big engage, and if they can do that, then T-side they're going to be running for the hills.
I'll tell you what, my most satisfying moment of the day, seeing that second control ward gone, which finally disables the ward at the back of the pit. That was quite a big moment for me. Meanwhile, there's going to be a vision wards being placed left, right, and center.
Just as the ward disappears as well. Oh,
yeah,
so
it's going to be London Lionhearts once again around the Baron. Lovesick is taking damage from this, so it does feel like the Lionhearts maybe should be doing some damage or backing away. We are going to see that Glacial Augment catching on towards the Sejuani, but the Tempered Fate is there. Only catches onto the Trundle, courtesy of the Black Shield for Drazer. Decent damage coming out of the Orianna, and now we have to start once again talking about scaling, because we are 26 minutes into the game nearly, and already, with the game having slowed down, the Steelers are coming back into it with some of the champions who are coming online.
They need to do something before Arc the Dragon's TP comes up. If you can force a fight where you're guaranteed to get a 5v4, there's no way that you need to be there's no way that you can just give up that fight. And right now, Renekton is fighting against Camille at the tower. He wants to get the inhib off of his own pressure.
And he gets the inhibitor turret, and now he's able to just start free hitting on towards the inhibitor.
And they're shoving all 3 waves in. They need to be utilizing this to get better vision deeper into the enemy jungle, because currently that topside jungle is ruled by the T-side Steelers.
Arc the Dragon's teleport is round about the 20 seconds away. We don't know just how good the Lionhearts timer of this is, but they've started up the Baron once more. The Steelers know that this is going on. Lovesick with the magical journey is going to deliver his team straight
and
onto
Renekton
the
goes
face of the
1v2.
Ezreal. Meanwhile, it's going to be Renekton going 1-for-1 in the top lane and giving up his life, but 2-for-1 across the map for the Lionhearts.
In a 1v2, still finds a kill before he goes down. It means that One More Light and Halesey, 2 of the biggest damage dealers, are off of the map. They need to go onto the Baron right now. They need to force this. Castanero's away.
Blast Cone is gone, but Castanero does have Flash available. If we can see some vision got down for the T-side Steelers, they still have the opportunity to change the double E in their name to an E and an A. What can Castanero do? Can he look to get this steal? The vision is there. Control ward popped down. 3,000 health left on the Baron. This is so very risky. It's a 50-50. It's a level 12 Castanero, a level 11 Lovesick. What will the Troll do? He will stop the Lionhearts, and now here comes Arc the Dragon. He comes in, he stuns Lovesick, who manages to take the portal to safety. Teleport's being channeled, and that's going to be yet another summoner burned by the Steelers.
Once again, non-committal. They don't want to risk it on the 50-50, and that fear is what's slowing this game down. That fear, that indecisiveness is what is costing them dearly, because now T-side, they have the tempo advantage. They can now get vision, maybe even look towards that Cloud Dragon.
We are being spoiled today for Dragon Sin.
Already the 5th dragon of the game at 27 minutes. This is a really fast dragon game.
I was more looking at the colours of them, but yeah, at least we've had a lot of them. Quantity over quality here.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. The second Cloud Dragon of the game is going to fall. That movement speed around the map is going to be evened out, but the fact that they commit so hard to the Dragon opens up this Baron.
Teleport already being used by Arc the Dragon. That might be enough to pull the trigger off, but they've managed to get that key summoner spell out of Arc the Dragon.
They just need to pull the trigger on somebody. They need to use that ultimate from Ram onto Castanero, try and catch him out, because the moment Castanero's gone, the game opens up.
Precision is being a sneaky old crocodile. He's stepping towards the bottom inhibitor. He's going to be able to get a massive amount of damage on this before Arc the Dragon can react. This inhibitor is absolutely gone. Meanwhile, the London Lionhearts are 4, trying to defend in the mid lane. Castanero taking up the brunt of the CC. He's going to be able to tank things up, but not gain any kind of advantage. Meanwhile, inhibitor drops in the bot lane.
And unfortunately, because they've had to rely on his pressure to get the inhibitor, it has been that much of a slower burn, but they still get the advantage they needed, even if it is 8 to 10 minutes too late.
A 7-2-2 Crocodile is the difference in this game right now. His split push pressure is absolutely obscene.
Yeah, he can 1v2, maybe even 1v3, given the opportunities. So you still have to be terrified of this big old croc, especially when he's building towards the GA.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, he's got Spirit Shogun, Sterix Gauge, Black Cleaver already, probably going towards the GA, as you're saying there. Got the Ninja Tabby for just that tiny little bit of defense.
Unless he's going Bloodthirst.
Yeah, you can. Infinity Edge, please.
Yeah, let's go.
Meanwhile, Baron started up for the umpteenth time.
Oh, wow,
this time, will the Steelers be close enough? That is going to be a Trundle so far away from his team. Can One More Light and the rest of the Steelers squadron do enough to stop the Lionhearts push? Here comes Trundle. He's getting closer and closer. Does have the flash available. And yet again, the Lionhearts are forced back. Meanwhile, the Nexus turrets are under pressure from Precision. He goes for the trade. He's already had to use his dominance. He's eating turret shots for fun.
Indecision still right, though. They need to force something here. They need to force them to fight around this Baron. Engage over the wall, do something.
One more light, Ops to try and defend his Nexus turret, and this time the 2v1 completely goes in favor of the Steelers. The Baron is down to 4,000 health, and Drazar is now the target for Lovesick and the rest of his crew. The ultimate only going to get a slow, no stun this
far
time.
too late.
Binding is going to land, and that's good damage coming through from Halsey. He manages to force the Guardian, force the stopwatch out of Lovesick, then he gets himself to safety. Once again, the Baron stopped. This time the Crocodile killed.
Like we keep saying, indecision is what is costing London. They once again waste their time around the Baron. The Renekton gets caught out and dies in the bottom side before they've even attempted to make a play. They need to pull the trigger far earlier than that. They need Ram flash ulting. They need Lovesick flash ulting onto a target they can kill instantly. Everybody needs to be on the same page, pulling that trigger at the same time.
If and only if the London Lionhearts come out with a win at the end of this game, the T-side Steelers will certainly not be tilted, feeling completely crushed. They will look at it and go, there was masses of indecision. This is a very winnable game. We got behind in the early, and we still took it all the way with the Lionhearts. It is not the most convincing performance in the world.
The thing is, at this point in the game, it's still really hard for T-side to win a fight. It's still really hard for T-side to find a 5v5 and win out in that matchup. But the longer the game goes on and the less committal London Lionhearts are, the more time you have for the T-side to scale, the easier it is to win one of those fights, because a 10k gold difference when both teams have 90k gold just doesn't matter.
Yet again, Precision with the teleport advantage over Arc the Dragon. Now the Crocodile has decided to go up to the top lane, starting to push towards yet another inhibitor turret. Of course, the super minions are pushing in the bot lane. Arc the Dragon's having to deal with this, does not have teleport available.
And now Arc the Dragon has to find a way into this fight, but Precision going 1v2.
He wants the big fight, but it's 3 versus 1. Drazar already almost losing his life, backing away, using the Black Shield to keep himself alive, but now look at the damage coming through. Precision manages to pick up one, forcing the flash out of one more light, gets a double kill. Big
still alive
in from the Crocodile team. He gets
finally
a kill. He's looking for a quadra. Hales is running away, but he's about to find a very angry alligator. He doesn't quite manage to get the quadra kill. Arc the Dragon comes in, manages to get the Guardian Angel. Hales is managing to keep his team's dreams of winning game 1 alive. Precision's Guardian Angel is procced, he comes back to life. Arc the Dragon and Halesey now having to stop the push towards this second inhibitor.
And his team may not be willing to pull the trigger, but Precision is, as he dives into the center of 3 people, solo carrying his team through that fight. Get the hell off of Baron, get into the base.
Now we've got the Nexus turrets under fire. Halesey and Arc the Dragon doing what they can. Drazar is back alive. Precision has base, is now teleporting in. One Nexus turret is going to drop. We're going to see Arc the Dragon doing everything he can to stop this push. However, it's just not going to be enough. The London Lionhearts only need to finish off this Nexus. It's gonna go down. The T-side Steelers lose out to an incredible play from Precision.
And he has to be the MVP of that game. Looking at it, carries early through the plays in the top side, winning out the 1v1. Carries late in those team fights, and Precision showed up huge.
Yeah, when I was speaking to the team earlier, True Rambo turns around to me, he goes, Precision, he's our man. We're focusing so much towards him, and they were so right to.
And you know, as we were talking about Arc the Dragon as one of the carries, he has shown up immediately by Precision in terms of what Precision could do on the stage, shutting down one of the primary win conditions for the side of T-side. And even though it took a while, even though we talked about the indecision at Baron, there has to be something they can talk about between games, because Precision just got sick of it in the end and went, if you're not going in, I am, guys.
And the thing is, because his split push in the bottom lane was so effective, eventually he knew that the super minions would push in for him. That meant he could transition to the top lane.
Yeah.
It led to the game-winning play. Overall, just a wonderful performance. But what if Precision hadn't got fed early? What if he hadn't been that split push force? I would have feared for the Lionhearts.
That's the problem. They struggled to play against that brick wall of, how do we break the base? How do we break down these inhibitors and get into the game as quickly as possible?
We've got a little opportunity here to look at some of the replays, the key moments from this game.
The Regan, though, oof.
Yeah, there was Regan completely catching him out. We're going to let you enjoy these few clips, and we'll be right back for game 2 in a moment.
Budge over a little bit to your left.
And welcome back. We're going to be coming into Game 2 of this best-of-5 series between the London Lionhearts and the T-side Steelers. Lionhearts with a 1-0 advantage. We just saw arguably the play of the game there at the end of the highlights. Precision on the Renekton, doing absolutely phenomenal work. Do you expect to see it banned away in Game 2?
I think the fact that they were willing to first pick the Camille and weren't ready to play into the Renekton Sejuani combo, which gave them such pressure throughout the early game, was one of the issues there. So I do expect them to at least look to take it away.
All right, Kled is going to be banned. The Steelers still respecting Precision, still respecting champions he knows he likes to play. Casanero hasn't seen much play on the Udyr, all split long, constantly banned away from him.
Yeah, never going to see him on it, unfortunately. Maybe we could dream. Maybe we could hope and pray.
Of course, we've seen a swap of the sides now. Steelers onto the blue side. They're going to get their first pickup of anything that they want. Still taking away the Fresh, still respecting Regan. But I'll tell you what, the Bard, the Renekton, I felt like they were both ban-worthy coming out of Game 1, but you've got to stick to what you know.
And the thing is with that game for Regan, as the shot caller for the team, as the one guy who's been in this finals environment before, he was the guy roaming around to make those plays early, and he rallied the team behind him and gave them the confidence to explode onto the stage and get this first, you have to say, upset win.
Yeah, the early game, the drive that he brought and the invading into the opposition jungle that led to First Blood, very much playing a captain shot caller's role right now. On the other side, you're looking for some people to start stepping up. Arc the Dragon, we've hyped him up so much in terms of what he can do in the top lane. This time, the Camille, they ban it away themselves, obviously opting into something else as the first pick.
Yeah, and maybe even looking at the Renekton first pick for themselves with Gnar, Camille, and Kled all banned away is an option.
Jarvan is going to be the final ban. Once again, we see Casanero having his
think they should go for it.
Just a little bit. There's so many options available. There are some super strong mid laners out there. The Sivir, which has been so often locked in competitive play recently, also available. Instead, it's another ADC, Caitlyn, that we see locked in for Halsey.
So we could see them look for the Caitlyn Morgana bot lane. We did see Drazar on that Morgana last time around. It is a very oppressive bot lane that can find a lot of picks through the early game. We know the combo. You land a Morgana binding into a Caitlyn trap, into a Caitlyn E, and the damage you can put down in one short combo is destructive, so we'll see if that is what they look to do.
Precision and Lovesick are picking up champions, but they're not picking them up for themselves. We're going to see the Varus locked in for True Rambo. Had a really solid performance in the last game. He, by his own admission, not necessarily the carry of the team, so he's happy to play things safe, get a little bit of engage.
So the legacy picks that you always picked into Caitlyn, there's two of them. Ashe, because your volley outranges Caitlyn and you can wave clear with it. And Varus, because your Q outranges her wave auto-attack range and you can wave clear from a distance. These two champions are what allows you to play safely into the Caitlyn because you're at such a large range that you don't have to worry about her abusing her auto-attacks on you.
There's Lovesick making a liar out of me, picking up his own champion. That's going to be the Sejuani for the Lionhearts for the second game in a row, sticking with what worked last time. If it's not broken, no need to fix it. Meanwhile, the Steelers, they are opting into a completely different composition so far. We've seen the Karma locked in alongside the Caitlyn. Of course, the Karma very much so could be flex pick, and we might even be able to see the Captain Flower special.
And that Skarner coming in with the movement speed buff from the Morgana can be from the Karma rather, can be very efficient at making those picks happen. And it's another one of these picks that has a QSS tax attached to it. So it's one of those a large amounts of gold you have to spend, but instead going to go for the Trundle. This is still very much slow down your enemies, speed up your allies, chase people down, sieging composition.
It was that long a hover that I knew we were being trolled there. And there it is, the troll once again onto the Rift. We are going to see Casanero's Trundle in Game 2.
Yeah, Casanero, just, go back to this Trundle that he has played quite a lot this split, you have to say, something he's very comfortable on, but we need to see a top laner that duos better with it, because otherwise, Precision and Lovesick could just roll over you again with any melee carry pick.
I find this really, really fascinating. You know for a fact that you've got the opportunity to pick up a third of your same champions from last time, and you've got the choice. What do you go for? Do you want the Bard? Is that crucial to you? Do you want the Renekton? Those are the two champions that I looked at and went, yeah, ban them away. They're really important. Lionhearts go, no. We want to put Ram on something he is comfortable on, and that's going to be the Malzahar for the second game in a row, bringing with it the QSS tax.
So what I think you should do if your T side here is ban the Bard and say, go ahead, play Morgana. We'll just shove you in with Karma. So taking that away, don't ban the Morgana now, let them play it and know that you have the ability to use the Karma, shove them in under their tower and never have to worry about that lane. Keep the Morgana stuck under her tower so Regan can't be this roaming threat that he was last time around.
True, Rambo, they're deep in thought. The London Lionhearts are going to have to make a slight deviation to their last composition, having had that Bard taken away from them. I'm expecting to see a support picked up immediately after this ban.
I'm expecting to see a Renekton ban.
And no, instead you're going to see
Jax.
a Jax ban. Now, the Fiora has been left up. That was banned away last time. The Bard is the champion replacing that ban.
Okay, so the Fiora is still an option, but has a lot more matchups that she struggles in through the early game. If you go Renekton here, then you've got the potential to win out almost every single matchup, unless you're playing against the likes of a Nico or a Kennen that just wants to sit at the range and farm out the lane.
Oh, we're going to see a
Saving the
Lux
counter
support instead. It's going to be an interesting replacement to the Bard. We do see that Regan likes to roam around so much. Lux not exactly a champion that's quite as well known for it. Not the Thresh, not the Bard. Instead, we get a Lux in this game. Will it be running Aftershock and being making Hitbrain proud? Meanwhile, Arc the Dragon says, anything you can do, I can do better. Locks in the Renekton for himself, and the final pick is going to be a Talia, rounding out the composition for the Steelers. What do you make of those last two picks?
So the Renekton means that they can't pick Fiora. It is a counter pick to Fiora. Unpredictable CC is always something she struggles to deal with. And the Talia in the mid lane, one of these roaming mid lane picks that wants to start snowballing through the bot side, through the top side, roaming with the jungler. And if they enable them to make more plays around the map, maybe they have the confidence.
We're going to see Aatrox as the matchup. Precision opting into, yet again, getting his counter pick.
We said a melee carry. I was thinking more of a Triforce one, but the Aatrox works all the same. And this is going to be another aggressive top lane pick that wants to beat out the Renekton in the 1v1, in the 2v2. And these two moving together can find massive amounts of pressure roaming around the map, especially when we talked about Malzahar hits 6, he has even more pick pressure. But what I want to see a little bit more this time around, as compared to last game, is flash ultimates from the Malzahar.
A bit more proactivity.
Exactly, because we've got these Sejuani who's using these Q ults or flash ults over wall. I want to see more of that from the Malzahar to suppress somebody, force more people to buy QSS because they're terrified of it. Because that last game, I didn't feel like anybody had to buy a QSS after a while because Malzahar just wasn't using ult in fights.
And I feel like that comes down a little bit to what we heard about backstage beforehand, that Ram and True Rambo, they're not necessarily the proactive members, the ones who are going out to do something flashy. And the fact that we didn't see those big chains of corruption, we didn't see the big nethergrass.
I saw a couple of good chains of corruption at least, but
they weren't quite as proactive maybe as actually during a fight happening.
Confidence and indecision are going to be the two key words to look at this game, because if they can all have that confidence to make these proactive plays, I don't see why London can't just 3-0 this series unless a massive change comes through in pick and ban.
Yeah.
But if they start to show those plays faltering, if they start to not capitalize on these advantages that are being handed, you give T sideways back into the game.
I'll add a third word to what I think is important coming into game number 2, precision. If he shows up in the same way that he did last time round, winning out his lane, going on to be an indomitable split pushing force, I'm not sure, and I think we saw it in the last game, I'm not sure that there's anything the Steelers can do to actually deal with it. However, if he stays quiet, I question the decision making coming out of the Lionhearts. I question their ability to really pull the trigger.
Well, the high priority on the Sejuani, pairing it with a melee top laner again, shows that the top lane 2v2 is the focus. This is the issue, though. We saw this very much with Fun Plus Phoenix in the OPL. The top jungle duo was, it was more the mid jungle duo when we looked at Doinbi and Tian, where one of them was always running the Sejuani to the Irelia or the Gragas to the Yasuo. And that jungler could never be the carry on their own. I need to see them switch up a bit more. I need to see something along the lines of the Aatrox, like what we saw in the LPL was the Aatrox jungle pairing with the like tankier mid laner, like we saw the Kled mid occasionally as well. And if you're allowing the engage to come from the mid laner, you can give Lovesick more of a carry opportunity. You can give Precision more of an engaged threat, and it gives Lovesick more enabling to be a carry for the team. So I want to see them adapt a bit more into that, not just rely purely on Precision. Give him the tools he needs to get an advantage, but give the other members the tools they need to snowball the game elsewhere.
We are about to see the buff spawning. We're getting grifty with it for the second time today, and based purely on these compositions, not on the gameplay that you have seen today, which of these teams do you favour to take game 2?
And I have to say, London, looking at the draft, not enough changes in the draft for it to be toned down. You look at like the Lux over the Bard. Okay, still a large amount of pick potential. Still a long-range champion that can move around the map very effectively and assist the teammates. You compare that to the last game's Bard, and I don't expect it to do any differently. You look at the Aatrox compared to the Renekton, can still be a big team fight threat that just starts to reset and blow up everybody. Still becomes unkillable if you go unchecked. So, very similar setup.
Aatrox, of course, very much a champion that seems to almost lost his personality in terms of lore, no longer able to come back from the dead with his blood well, instead gaining all that extra damage instead of having the resets.
Hey, it's still got a bit of a lore to it. You think of it as like he thirsts for the blood of battle. He gets more healing when he uses his ultimate.
I miss the revive.
I don't. It was so broken.
Maybe that's why
it's just like, I don't know, having a team fight where basically every single time there's a guy with a zillion ultimate in your face that is that strong, and you can have potentially a zillion on top of it to then ult him after he revives. It felt a bit sickening.
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid point. I mean, you talk about the QSS tax. It's almost like having a free Guardian Angel, and when you're investing all that extra gold, of course, you're not getting all the stats to go with it, like the damage, but to have that passive inbuilt over and over again, yeah, you have a valid point there.
It was just the simplicity of being afraid to kill him that caused issues.
I like what I'm seeing here from Drazar and Halesy. We saw the disadvantage in CS for Halesy in the last game, already getting that 5 CS advantage. Yep. Karma a big part of pushing things up. Lovesick now turning the attention towards Art the Dragon, trying to get precision, get another lead. Art the Dragon dashing his way out of trouble, not stunned up, not even having to burn the flash.
Yeah, and that's going to be him escaping, but I want to come back to this Caitlyn Karma. And Caitlyn Karma, very storied bot lane in League. You think about like very similarly, if you look back in time to the Ashe Zyra of old, as an infamous bot lane that wins consistently. Whereas that one wants to get to level 6 and just kill you. This one wants to shove you in and take your tower at 7 minutes into the game. This is very much a, we want to take your tower as quickly as possible bot lane. And what you do with that is you then lane swap her up to the top side of the map. You then take over the mid lane, and you turn into a sieging comp very quickly.
One more Light, who's done a great job pushing in, looking for a gank in the bot lane. Lovesick once again turning his attention towards Art the Dragon.
Absolutely putting up his 10.
Ensuring that Precision gets as many advantages as possible. Meanwhile, one more Light and Casanero are here. A seismic shove could be all that's needed. Flash from True Rambo is so crucial. Flash in return. One more Light. Not quite getting the knockback, but the pillar is there. True Rambo going to go down for first blood. Drazar secures this one. The Steelers picking up such a crucial first blood in this second game of the series.
And a lot of summoners used there. 4 summoners used to secure that kill, but they are going to get this tower shard onto the Caitlyn. They are going to get the Caitlyn the early advantage that we said they needed. And T-side, they start this game off a lot more proactive than the last one. That is crucial to give them the confidence going forward. Give them that momentum that we talked about. And so, now Precision getting a decent CS lead for himself in the top side because of the attention he's been given, but the tower shard's just worth so much more. As you can see, T-side already up over 1,000 gold.
It's a really nice advantage, and when you're coming down, having had all the momentum against you for so much of the last game, it's exactly what they needed. Even though they burned so many summoners, I like the proactive plays. I do really like what they did. They made it work, and now they're going back to spend all their hard-earned gold.
And suddenly we've got a series on our hands, you have to say, after this early game from T-side. They feel a lot more confident, and maybe it is just the game 2 suddenly thinking they all sit down between games and get told, no, you have to play more proactively than that. You have to have some confidence. Be confident. You've beaten this team before. You can do it again. So they seem to have had that boot up their backsides, and it's working for them.
It absolutely is. The first dragon in this game is going to be a Cloud Dragon. We're still yet to see a dragon that's not Cloud or Ocean across this series. Very, very disappointing for me personally. However, this is going to be one of those slightly speedier games because everyone's going to be going faster.
And then hopefully it's a bit of a speed run game because I want to see some exciting action as quick as possible. As currently though, I like what we're seeing here from the Taliyah pick. They picked the Taliyah going, we need a mid laner that can outshove a Malzahar. And those are few and far between. Maybe there's like new Rise, for example, but that's a very high skill cap champion in terms of the fact that you need to have a lot of practice on him to be ready for it. So going for the Taliyah, an older mid laner that still has a lot of this pushing power, allowed them to go down to bot lane for that early play and get that kill in the bottom side. So I like what One More Light is showing with it, and I like what it provides to the team.
Completely the same, showing the sort of proactivity that we almost slightly criticised Ram not for having in the last game.
Exactly.
Going out and making things happen for his team. Definitely doing a good job so far, but is falling behind in CS. Look at the top lane as well. Precision with almost a 10 CS lead over Art the Dragon, courtesy of all that pressure that we saw Lovesick put down early on.
But because of these tower shards and the jungle advantage, it is still over 1,000 gold in the lead for T-side. It's adding up. is apparently that Trundle is going to be a lot more effective than a Sejuani unless you're looking at a 2v2 topside with Precision setting up those stunts.
Yeah, Precision constantly just shoving this wave in. The Dragon is picking up all the CS under turret, however, keeping himself pretty level. Already got himself a couple of swords. You'd have to expect a Tiamat to be picked up fairly soon.
Yeah, this is an early Tiamat, and this is what you always talk about when you see a Tiamat in a melee versus melee matchup. Tiamat in melee versus melee is such a high break point in terms of the pressure it gives you in the matchup, the ability it gives you to win the 1v1 as Regan just gets chunked out, but soon Arc the Dragon will have control of that top side. And when you look at it as 3 lanes that have control in terms of one more like shoving out quicker, even if he is falling down in CS, bot lane being shoved in consistently and Renekton winning, what the hell does Lovesick have that he can do? He's just going to be pressured out of his own jungle.
Early game, yes, the Steelers have those advantages pretty much in every lane. However, let's bring up the S word, looking at the scaling.
And the scaling is where you start to have a little bit of question marks when it comes to the side of the London Lionhearts, because most of the plays come around the mid game. The Aatrox, high late game threat, but when you're looking at a Caitlyn, a Renekton, and Talia, the late game DPS is insane in fights. And you need a way to pick off those members as quickly as possible. If you're playing a pick comp that doesn't have a lead, you can't get rid of one member instantly at the start of a fight against this much DPS, you're bound to lose.
Asinero and team securing the Dragon. T-side Steelers get themselves the Cloud Dragon, continuing to dominate. They're over 1,000 gold in the lead. Meanwhile, Precision try and take yet another 1v1 against the Dragon. However, the Crocodile decides discretion the better part of valor and runs away with his tail between his legs.
Yeah, and Arc the Dragon here, I like what he's showing on the Renekton, but it's a bit of a skill matchup, and he's not winning it out thus far because of those early ganks from Lovesick. It gave Precision the lane setup that he needed to get control, and it's meant now that he's a long way off of winning out this matchup consistently.
Ram is doing everything he can to secure all of his CS.
It hurts watching him miss a cannon minion.
It's sad, but he's securing pretty much everything else. That's why he's got such a good CS lead.
Cannon minion real. It hurts. I'm looking here at this bot side though, and you can see the fact that True Rambo has had to go double Dorans to try and keep up in terms of damage right now. And you see on the other side the BF sword and the pickaxe already there from Hailsey. It's just a winning matchup that is only going to start winning harder pretty soon. So the Caitlyn just going to be able to push out quicker, going to be able to shove in quicker, get more shards. And like we said, once this bot lane tower goes down, instant lane swap, get that top lane tower. Instantly put the Caitlyn mid lane because she's already winning by that much gold. And you have a composition that is able to control every lane on the map at once.
Already we're starting to see some items being completed. Interesting to note the real difference in the builds that's coming through from Varus and Caitlyn. Completely unsurprising, of course, to those people who know the build paths of these ADCs. Infinity Edge is on the horizon for the Caitlyn. Varus will be looking straight towards that Blade of the Rune King, rather than even taking a Rage Blade.
Yeah, this is more common now because Rage Blade is significantly worse than it used to be. Doesn't give you anywhere near the value that it used to as a first item. Requires a lot more to make it valuable as Arc the Dragon. He's starting to feel himself here in this topside matchup. Now he's got the Tiamat. He feels like he can trade better with Precision.
Well, this is the first time he actually wins a trade up against the Aatrox, but immediately Precision turns damage back. Dominus is being dropped. Here comes Talia. The Weaver's Wall getting her straight onto Precision's face. However, she traps herself behind the wall, buying a little bit of time. Precision, who's trying the outplay, he's got so very much damage. Forces the flash out of one more light, but Arc the Dragon gets the kill against his nemesis from the last game. And yet again, the Crocodiles are coming up big in Belong Arena Clash.
You start to see what would happen if Lovesick went up there more often, as he was very close to turning that 1v2 into a kill for himself. Imagine if you had the jungler up there of Lovesick as well, how much easier it would have been to get the stuns, get the lockdown, get that many more kills for yourself in that 2v2 matchup. And it's so close, but unfortunately the resource is not going to the right place. Lovesick not really being anywhere on the map is costing them quite dearly.
Yeah, it's definitely the start that the Steelers would have hoped for, considering what happened in the last game. Casemiro having a little bit more of an impact there. Also, we saw exactly what Talia can do. That's twice now where she's come, first down, then up to help out. 100% kill participation, I believe, so far. Doing a really decent job. It's just a much more proactive and well-played game so far from the T-side Steelers.
Yeah, very good at just shutting down the aggression. And it's working out for them so far. We need to see if T-side can keep this up, because London, we saw when they came online last time, and it was around that level 11 mark.
You said Lovesick wasn't present, but he's present now. He gets himself a kill, he hears your words and says, Sin, I'll show you what I can do.
And this is what we need to see more of. He's got that level 6 now, he's got the ultimate, and he's starting to make plays of his own. Need to see more of those add up, and if they can get a couple tower shards here for True Rambo, start to make his lane more self-sustaining, to the point where he can go elsewhere, then it's a lot easier. But because they make this play, they lose the Rift Herald and risk T-side accelerating the game out of their control.
We are just over 11 minutes into the game. That Rift Herald will be able to be used where there are turret plates still available. The turret plates already secured for the Caitlyn in the bottom lane, I believe 3 of them already. Now we're probably going to see Arc able to take that Herald all the way up into the top lane, maybe even secure a first turret blood.
Yeah.
It's a heavy price to pay just for 1 kill.
Getting that first tower against the Aatrox as well, pinning him down in that lane, forcing him to fight Redacted in a long lane where he's less likely to escape, makes it a bit more difficult for him. So I hope we can see them snowball that advantage pretty soon, because unfortunately True Rambo unable to get anything on the backside of it on the bottom side of the map.
All right, that Herald was indeed secured, put into the pocket of Castanero. We've got 3 turret plates still available in the top lane, 2 in the bottom lane, and I do just wonder if we're going to see that Herald in the mid lane as we see Regan eating a huge amount of damage. Lovesick is here for support. Ram is starting to wander down the river as well, but he has gone over vision. Surely Drazar and Halsey knows when it's going down. Teleport's going to come in. That's going to be the nice use of the final spark, but Drazar gets out. Lovesick not so lucky. The Karma turns this one around. Arc the Dragon follows up with a teleport of his own. He wants to keep on chasing towards Precision. This is going to be a straight out 4 versus 4 because one more line is here. Make it 5 because Castanero has joined the party. Arc the Dragon's going to drop down to the ignite of Regan. Meanwhile, Precision dashing in, doing what he can, but with no blood, well, he falls to Drazar, who in turn dies to Ram. The stopwatch used by True Rambo as he tries to buy himself just a moment of time. He goes for it to Halsey. One more arrow might do it, but he doesn't get it in. One more line throws rocks at Varus' face, and at the end of the day, it's going to be a 2 for 3.
And 3 deaths for London Lionhearts. Hurts really bad here, considering the Rift Herald is immediately dropped. Gonna blow open that tower for the Caitlyn, like we said, so she can instantly look to lane swap. She can instantly look to go elsewhere on the map, and it looks like they're shoving her mid lane.
Slightly surprised to see the Herald being used in the bot lane, but if you can get free first turret blood, why not?
It's the tempo for it. They drop the Rift Herald bot lane, and while it's still pushing, while it's still doing its job, they go elsewhere. They're instantly recalled. They're already back on the map.
Yeah,
their tempo advantage from this is huge, because still, London Lionhearts are resetting, and by the time they get back on the map, the waves are already under tower. They're already being denied experience. They're already risking losing tower plates.
Thinking back to around about the 13-minute mark in our last game, it was round about the same gold lead over for the T-side. For the Lionhearts now. The Steelers have that advantage. The Weaver's Wall trying to block off Precision. There is a blast cone here. It's going to be one more light, just throwing out those threaded volleys, getting caught out very slightly by Lovesick. The slow is going to be there, but yes, as you say, unfortunately, Lovesick going full X Smithy on this one. Infernal Dragon picked up free and easy for the T-side Steelers. Precision looking for a potential fight on the backside of this. Ram is waiting in the wings, but the Steelers get in, they get out, they get the Infernal.
And Lovesick doesn't quite land the ultimate, as you say, so it costs them very dearly. They can't get onto that Infernal Dragon. Now 2 dragons for the Steelers, 2.5k gold lead at this 14-minute mark. We see all the shards they've managed to take for themselves. I believe that's 7 shards in comparison to 0 from the side of the London Lionhearts. A big gold lead off the back of it means that Caitlyn's very strong, and Varus still struggling to get into the game.
Turret plate falls off, and there is no doubt the Steelers have had the better of the early game. I asked you the what-if question, Sin. What if Precision doesn't get ahead? What do the Lionhearts do then? Well, not only has Precision not got ahead, but the Steelers have gained themselves a mighty, mighty lead.
Well, what they need to do, as we said, they're running a pick composition. They've got these pick tools of the Sejuani, the Varus, the Malzahar, and the Lux. They've got a lot of long-range CC, and that long-range single-target CC needs to be utilized through vision control. You get vision deeper, you catch people out when they're walking where they shouldn't be, where somebody oversteps their mark even slightly, they die for it. You find a couple of picks like that, you've got a gold near even again, because you can capitalize off the back of it, get a tower for yourself perhaps, and it all adds up. But London Lionhearts need to have the pressure on the map by utilizing the waves effectively to get that vision down in the first place.
Yeah, there were 3 stopwatches coming into this game, and I'm noting that we saw True Rambo burning his in that last fight. However, there is still the opportunity for Ram and Regan to use theirs, maybe looking for some flashy plays. The Lionhearts need to start doing something to turn this game back slightly in their favor, because I do worry as this game goes on that they're just going to find themselves further and further pushed off objectives.
Yeah, by this point in our last game, I believe London Lionhearts had like a 4k gold lead. It's a very different story this time around, but T-side still not accelerating it quite as much. Still playing it very conservatively, still looking to keep the pace of the game low until they find the exact fight they want to. They're not being indecisive, they're being very picky about the plays they want to make. They only want to go for a 99% play where there's so minimal chances of failure that they're almost guaranteed.
But even with that being the case, it doesn't feel like the last game where it felt like the Lionhearts waited off for too long and waited and waited and waited and finally Precision had to do something. Instead, it feels like the Steelers are making educated choices.
Exactly.
And that they are taking the right opportunities. I'm interested to see what happens when that Baron spawns in 4 minutes, because we saw the back and forward. We saw umpteen starts from the Lionhearts to try and take that objective, almost even throwing the game at it at times. What will the Steelers do?
I don't think Casanero is going to allow that. I think he's going to be calling aggressively on the Baron, like, no, we go for it. We force the 50-50, get Lovesick to jump over the wall, then kill him. That was what we didn't see from the London Lionhearts the last time around. They never forced Casanero to jump into the pit, then have a Malzahar ultimate on him, for example. 100%. They always had the Baron on such a high HP that T-side were never afraid of them actually taking it. They always knew that it was just smoke and mirrors and it was all just a big bluff.
And the great thing about that is if you do go low on it and Casanero goes in, well, the blast gun was never available, so he would have had to flash. It's not like this is a jungler with massive movement. There's no flag and drag in or any kind of charge that you can make. It has to be your flash, and then you can't get in the next time it happens.
Exactly, and he can't even get out as well, so it's just kill him at
a one-way trip.
But they just weren't willing to commit, and that was the issue.
Meanwhile, the game's starting to stall out slightly. Some scaling is starting to come in for the London Lionhearts. They do find themselves 3,000 gold behind. However, they can continue to scale up. Look at where the kills are distributed around the Steelers. All the extra gold at the moment is in the pocket of Karma.
Yeah, Karma picking up a big gold lead over her opponent, but we also see a 600 gold lead in the jungle, 600 gold lead in mid. There are some decent breakpoints being hit from the side of T-side that just aren't available to the London Lionhearts yet.
Yeah, but you've got to assume that the Steelers would hope that at least some of those 3 kills hadn't gone on towards Drazar, but they've got to deal with the hand they've now been dealt, and that's exactly the way it is.
Yeah, so now we have to see what they're going to be doing with their lead next, because we need to see this gold lead expand very quickly. We need to see what they can do with this gold lead to just not rest on their laurels. They need to expand on it quickly so that a couple picks isn't enough to just suddenly get London Lionhearts back into the game.
17 minutes, 30 seconds on the clock, and yet again we have our favorite sepia-colored screen.
As just, ref, why is my screen grey? It's one of those.
No, grey I get. Like, I've entered enough times to know why you've got a grey screen. A sepia one, we don't get to see that when we're playing solo queue.
In Old West.
Alrighty, well, we have got ourselves a bit of an issue, as you've probably been able to tell by the continued pauses. We're going to let the players on stage deal with that with the fantastic help of our technical team and production crew, who are doing a sterling job here at Insomnia.
So let's take some stock of this now, because
I do like stock.
The game has turned on its head from what we saw in Game 1. This is a much more aggressive game from the side of T-side. They are playing much more towards the style that we saw from them in the previous weeks, but they are being more proactive. But they are roaming around the map together. They're not just allowing London to dictate the game to them, and that is what has caused this game to be a much closer affair. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else they can do, what extra they're getting from this gold lead, and if they can be decisive around objectives where we saw that London already was.
That leads to my next question. Are the Steelers doing enough in this early to mid game to really accentuate those differences?
And unfortunately, the T-side Steelers are just not really pushing the gold lead as far as I'd want them to. One of the reasons that London ended up stalling out the game was just the fact that they couldn't play around Baron, but up until that point, they were getting like a 6k gold lead on the map just from making plays. And T-side just aren't quite as ready. They want to find these perfect plays, as we say about, but London not quite giving those perfect plays to them. They are playing quite effectively in terms of positioning on the map, not really opening themselves up to being collapsed enough.
Interesting to see the top laners split pushing on opposite side of the map. Renekton now deciding to try and deal with this Aatrox push in the top lane. Precision, of course, he was the dominant force of the last game, this time rocking a 0-2 scoreline.
But he is still going to be effective because he's Aatrox.
Aatrox tends to do that.
Aatrox tends to do that, exactly. Just once he gets a couple items, he is still going to shred through people in team fights. We still saw in that bot lane fight where they went 3 for 2, the massive amount of resources that had to be committed just to making sure he didn't get 3, maybe even 4 kills. And if you give that space to True Rambo, you give that space to Ram and Lovesick to lock people down, and it becomes a lot easier. But
Oh, wow. We were just saying the precision's always going to be a factor. Well, he's not if he's dead. Arc the Dragon securing that kill off screen. A second Infernal Dragon has just gone up. And with Arc the Dragon having got that kill, having the teleport available, taking a turret for free, it's going to be a completely uncontested Infernal Dragon. The Steelers get themselves a second.
And the second Infernal of the game. This is going to stack up quickly in terms of the damage they've got now. Caitlyn, we normally talk about her mid-game trough at this point until she starts to get to those Zeal items.
Trough's gone.
When you got double Infernal, that trough is a lot less notable. Yeah, it's a lot less of a factor. And, it's going to mean that Halsey is actually going to do a ton of damage in these fights. You have to keep an eye on him, because otherwise he's going to land a trap and suddenly all of somebody's health bar is gone.
We didn't get the opportunity there to see exactly what outplay or mistake led to the death, but you've got to assume that is a great moment for Arc the Dragon.
Yeah.
We talked about how these two top laners are two key carries for their team. Last game we saw it out of precision. This time with the solo kill and with the 2-1-1 scoreline, we're seeing it for Arc the Dragon.
This is where you start to see the matchup coming into fruition.
This is where you start to ban Renekton.
This is yeah, it kind of is, but like when we talked about that last game's matchup was Camille wants to get to the point where she can win the 1v1. Renekton wants to get to the point where he can team fight. We're actually seeing the exact opposite this game. Renekton wants to 1v1 consistently. Aatrox is afraid to 1v1 the Renekton. Renekton's going to be in his face, never allowing him to land one of those knock-up Qs because he's constantly on top of him in melee range. It's going to mean that Aatrox wants to transition into team fights, whereas Renekton wants to hold him away from those team fights as long as possible by winning out the side lane, by pushing deep in towards the enemy towers.
It's here. The Baron has returned to the Rift, and the dance can once more commence. After the way things played out in the last game, I'm fascinated to see what the Steelers do. First of all, they've started by putting that ward in a place where it can't cover the ward at the back of the pit.
We'll see if that ward in the back of the pit is going to threaten the game this time around, but it is the opposite teams, at least this time. You'd think they'd know better, considering they were the ones that had a ward that stayed its entire duration as not disabled.
Like, is there a reason why that ward is not being put
Well, you generally want to put a ward there so you can deny wards in the river as well. So you see, it's a lot easier to see people walking onto the Baron, and you get the sort of entry to the pixel brush as well covered, so you can see somebody trying to set up a pick by standing in that brush.
Line of sight.
Yeah, exactly. But the ward in the back of the pit just that much harder to clear, and it's purely for we're worried that they are going to start Baron any minute now, rather than we want to start a team fight around Baron.
And you're seeing that out of Regan and Lovesick, hovering around, waiting in the bush, waiting for this ward to be cleared out. Finally, we see one more light step over, easily able to clear his control ward out with a little bit of cover from his team.
Yeah, doesn't want to walk in and clear that ward because the Baron would have been aggroed on him. So going to take a little while longer.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh, that's even more unfortunate.
Just ends up going, no, screw it, I'm going to take the damage, it doesn't matter, it's too late for me.
One more light gets caught out, and that's enough for Lovesick to look for the engage. Unfortunately, not catching anyone with a stun. Those Glacial Prisons, unfortunately, not quite hitting their mark in this game.
Yeah, it started to happen towards the end of last game as well. Wasn't really on point with them. Much better in the early game, and it just seems to be slipping away from him. That early hype that we talked about, where the players all got so excited because this game slowed down in tempo, because the last game slowed down in tempo so much, they couldn't carry that momentum through. They couldn't carry that excitement through, and instead, it's just slipping away from them. They're losing their energy. It's just like they've had a sugar rush and now they're tired out and they need a nap.
Regan and Ram looking for a catch. The Hunter almost became the hunted. Those Drazar and Casanero were just waiting around the corner. Fortunately, however, for the Lionhearts, they're able to get a little bit of support, helping them out. Meanwhile, Precision continues to do everything he can in the split push. He's now running a 0-3 scoreline, far, far removed from the sort of 7-1 we saw in the last game.
Definitely so, but it's the Renekton on the other side that we're keeping our eyes on. Like you said, he's got the Shojin, one of the biggest item spikes for anyone in the game now.
You promised me Casanero would be more dominant with his calls at the Baron already. This has been started up, but this is just 2 members, and I don't think there's enough damage coming out of a Trundle and a Talia to make this worthwhile right now.
Oh, but they did manage to scout out and see that there is no vision on there. They didn't move towards the dragon. They didn't make any noteworthy moves away from the mid lane. So they have the knowledge that they have cleared all the vision. There's no knowledge towards that Baron area.
It was a scouting mission.
Exactly. It was a scouting mission. It's like a zoning ultimate. You just
I'm
write
very
it
good
off.
at zoning ultimates.
Yeah, I'm very good at them as well, yeah. It's the zoning Evelyn ultimate.
That's why I like playing Shen. You can't zoning ult with Shen.
Hey, that's exactly what every ult is when you're playing Shen. You just zone them off of your allies.
Look what we see there in the Baron pit. Yet another unseen ward.
Oh, a cheeky back of the
This
pit ward
is
is that?
making me really, really sad. This is almost triggering me as bad as what you told me about Champion Select.
Oh, where on one side all the names are in capitals and the other side they aren't.
Honestly, it is the most tilting thing I've had happen in my casting career. Thanks for that, dude.
I just remember the look you had. You just stared me down for a solid 5
I'm
seconds.
still angry at you for that. Actually, I think I'm more angry that I didn't notice it myself, and now that I can't stop noticing it.
It's kind of like the whole thing with one of the latest champion in the game.
Quinoa.
Quinoa, yeah, the most recent champion.
We might get to see some Quinoa still today. I mean, we're guaranteed at least one more game after this. It might even go to a full 5-game series. Meanwhile, a second Cloud Dragon arrives. Lovesick slightly caught out. He, unlike the Trundle, does have a dash to get over the wall.
And talking about dashes, yeah, Quinoa has a ton of them. And it's a champion that was banned for quite a while. It was disabled due to some issues.
It was rather buggy.
Yeah, interactions with Corki, I know, was one of them, where if Corki wanted to W while she Q'd him, he was forced to W in the direction of her Q, weird things like that. So it's a champion that's enabled here. It's a champion that's being picked a lot in pro play, but with such a high mastery champion, other teams practice them.
Fourth dragon of the game will be secured by the T-side Steelers 25 minutes in, and they have got themselves the lion's share. Not even the lion's share, just the entire share of all the dragons.
No, the lion's share is 0 this game.
That's the best one all split. And that says everything, really. The Infernal Dragon will be coming back up again in 5 minutes' time, depending on how quickly it gets taken. We may even see another Elemental Dragon. This could be a 6-dragon game before Elder comes on the cards.
But this is kind of what we alluded to when we saw the Caitlyn Karma picked. The objective control with this duo is immense. They have full control of a bot side because they can shove that wave in so effectively. The Caitlyn can outrange for the most part. It did mean that she couldn't really get any kills on True Rambo easily without the jungler coming along, because the Varus range is there, but he never had control of the wave, so they lost the dragons. She was able to move around the map and set up objective control everywhere. If you look here, she sets up the traps to deny access to the river.
Vision, once again, is the name of the game, and it seems to be
knows.
the Steelers who have got the better of it. The Lionhearts, they pride themselves on their vision, but right now they don't know what's going on. That far side ward will spot things out. Blast Cone is available for Lovesick. He's going to have to take it pretty soon. Halsey and Casanero stepping away from the Baron, completely allowing it to reset, deciding not to opt into a 50-50.
Yeah, this time was a bit risky because the Blast Cone, of course, was there. Wouldn't even have to burn his flash, could just Q over the wall. Will just end up Blast Cone in, Q out. You don't even have to risk anything. So 50-50, a lot less risky in that situation for Lovesick. You don't want to take that one. It's happy to back off there, just get control of mid lane again. Know that you're going to win out on the bottom side of the map. And they're taking it a bit slower than I would like.
Same.
But at the same time,
say.
they don't have the engage tools that we saw from the London Lionhearts last game.
2 games in a row, it feels like the word of the day has been stall. And right now, the London Lionhearts doing a great job of stalling. They're not letting the gold lead slip quite as far as the Steelers did in the last game. It feels like with every minute that passes, they get more and more online in terms of the items that they're coming back in comparison to what the Steelers have.
But like we said, the scaling potential, when we talk about the massive amount of DPS between the Talia and the Caitlyn, and then the Renekton coming in as this big frontline threat as well, with the Trundle stealing all the tank stats from a Sejuani, it's really hard to fight against the late game T-side Steelers if you're London Lionhearts. You have to find these picks. And the time for picks is past. It's already 27 minutes. It's a lot harder to pick someone off and kill them instantly.
The CC chain will be massive, however, out of the Lionhearts if they manage to get the right targets.
How long will you have a CC chain on somebody before Drazar turns up and gets a shield on them? Before the rest of the cavalry arrives?
And there's a QSS on Caitlyn.
Exactly. It's so much harder to get those picks down now. So much harder to find a target that is isolated. Now we've got to this 5v5 stage of the game, and I think it's just too little too late for the London Lionhearts. They let their window pass.
That is
now
possible.
T-side, even though they don't have that much engage, which is going to be the weakness of their composition, if they force a fight on their terms where London Lionhearts have to get into the Baron Pit or have to fight over an Elder Dragon, then it's going to be so easy for them to turn and collapse when they have all this movement speed, they have all this minor gap closing potential with the likes of the Karma, the Trundle, and the Talia wall even, just to cut people off.
One thing I'll be interested to see is how the teleport game starts to affect things. Last time it was 3 against 3 with the top laners, the mid laners, and the ADCs all having that summoner spell. This time just the 3 for the Lionhearts in comparison to the 1
the semi-global from One More Light is the key thing there.
Yep,
the reason that Halsey is fine to go for the heal here instead is it means that you are going to be fighting a lot easier, and the team will always be centered around where Halsey is playing. We said this is a more sieging and objective-focused comp. The fact that they're always going to be moving towards him means that he doesn't need to have a TP as much, especially when he needs to control. He has the ability, rather, to control the lane so effectively, he doesn't need to TP back to it so often.
As the one guy with a poor choice in footwear said to another guy with a poor choice in footwear, let's compare Crocs. Last game, we saw Precision able to do exactly this to Arc the Dragon. This time with a little bit of help from One More Light, it is going to be Arc's turn to go absolutely huge.
And this Croc is not quite as big as the last one, but it's still doing a lot of damage and is still a big threat as they finally get an engage up onto Halsey.
This is going to be Lovesick going in, trying to get the damage down, but One More Light arrives
Oh,
off
big shove!
As you predicted him to. The final spark is good. It forces the stopwatch out of One More Light, but as we see True Rambo come, he goes as well. Ram is going to get dropped by Halsey, and now a turret will be a nice, free, easy secure for the Steelers. They win all across the map.
So Arc the Dragon winning on the bot side. They get the kills on the top side as well. They are opening up the base. As you look at the death timers, this is 30 seconds. The game might just be done.
I think it will, maybe. I think we are going to one game all in this best of 5 series. The Belong Arena Clash Summer Split is ramping up in a big, big way. The London Lionhearts fall. They are putting up a valiant effort to stall the game out, but just like the Steelers in the last game, unable to do so, it is going to be one game apiece, a tale of 2 crocodiles.
And we have a series on our hands, guys. It's 1-1 now. We've seen 2 very different looking games. As you saw in game 1, the London Lionhearts were so aggressive and so affirmative into their ability to snowball the game through the early phases. The Baron stalled them out for a bit, but they were still very proactive. This game, the other way, not quite as proactive, but still a very dominant display from T-side Steelers. They never really gave London the ability to win this game at any point. So I have to say that I don't know where this series is going. If it's going to change like this between games so dramatically, then we have to think about what's being said behind the scenes. How are the teams adapting to the mental game?
Well, we've already seen the Steelers adapt well. They came back stronger than ever, able to take that second game up against the Lionhearts. The Lionhearts themselves will now need to recollect themselves. They will have some time to do so because we are going to take ourselves a roughly 10-minute break, and we'll be back for game 3 of this amazing series very soon.
'cause you're all I know. Oh, you're all I need. But it's complicated. I'm my own safe haven, and it's not the way you believe. And I'm stuck in between what I know and what I feel. Where are we so unsteady, baby? Tell me, and you see right through me, but you still know what I need. Where are we so unsteady? Tell me. Like a single flame, baby, light the way. We don't need to think about who to blame. It's just so complicated.
We are back. We're going to be bringing you game 3 of this fantastic series between the Teesside Steelers and the London Lionhearts very, very shortly. We have a bit of a difference of opinion going into pick and bans for game 3. I've said I think Renton's getting banned. Sorry, you've said you think Renton's getting banned.
Yes.
I've said I don't think it is.
So the thing is, Renekton, unless you are willing to go, we're just playing Nico or Kennen top lane, we're playing a ranged top laner that doesn't want to fight. Renekton's the #1 top laner right now. Even if you want to play one of those really oppressive duos like Aurelia Sejuani, Aurelia is countered by Renekton. You said maybe you want to pick up the Fiora. Guess what? Renekton counters Fiora. The only thing you can maybe pull out is the Jax, and we saw it banned that game. So unless you can guarantee when they pick Renekton, you're going to get Jax out of it, just ban the champion.
It makes a lot of sense. Let's see how the adaptation comes through when we do get into the pick and bans. Just waiting on the players to resume, to re-emerge, to get back onto their seats after having a little break, a little time to compose themselves.
Yeah.
The Steelers did a great job of that in game 1. The Lionhearts need to do it now.
But after a much more extended break, maybe we see one of the teams having collected themselves better, coming in with a new strategy, coming in with a new game plan off the back of this. And it can make all the difference. We saw the difference between game 1 and 2 in terms of the mentality from the Teesside Steelers. The change between game 2 and 3 is going to dictate how the rest of the series goes, because I don't believe we're getting another long break like that one after this.
And just like all the mystery boxes out there at Insomnia, the word of the day has been stall.
You mean loot boxes?
They're the ones. There are mystery
IRL loot boxes.
Absolutely. But the word of the day is stall, just like all of those stalls they have for the loot boxes. You know, I'm just tenuous linking it all over the place while we get into Champ Select. The last 2 games have all been about stall, and it feels like both teams made the right decision in doing it. First of all, we saw the Steelers having to stall, massive advantage to the Lionhearts, they almost came back. Then we saw the Lionhearts trying to stall. Now we're going to see whether or not that happens in game 3. From an excitement perspective, I hope not, but from an well-executed gameplay, it's fair enough.
So with London, you have to think about the fact that they've only got 2 bans, because they always have to ban this Udyr every single time away from Casanero. That is, however you look at it, an issue for the London Lionhearts. The fact that they don't have the ability to target out these OP champions and make sure that they don't just get an amazing first rotation on the side of Teesside is a lot harder to do when you have this many fewer bans that you can pick up.
Yeah, and taking the Nara away constantly from Arc the Dragon. So far, it's worked once, it's not worked the other time because it just picked up the Renton away from you. With the Lionhearts having first pick, I expect to see it be the Steelers ban away the Renton if anyone were to.
And there's the Kled again. So Nara and Kled, the 2 little Yordles being prioritized over the big Crocs so far.
Lionhearts do have that 1 ban remaining. I said no Renekton ban. You said Renekton ban. Only one of us can be right. And if I've learned
Unfortunately, yeah, you're going to be right.
If I've learned anything from my color casters here at Insomnia, it's that I'm going to be right.
You're going to be right here, and they're not going to ban Renekton. Is that the correct decision? No, but is it the decision they're likely to make? Yes, probably.
That's really interesting. The Talia in the last game, especially that global presence from the Weaver's Wall, was one of the big differentiating factors.
And we talked about that as one of the ways they shut Ram out of the game by having superior wave clear to him and being able to roam around the map faster. That was crucial in their ability to snowball through the bot side. Talia roaming down quickly and helping them get Halesey out of the game.
Halesey was definitely something of a non-factor near the end of that game. In this game, sorry, in the end of the first game. Now we see the Jarvan taken away.
A little bit of frustration.
Renekton not banned. Will he be first picked? No, he won't. But this is interesting. Third different support today for Regan. The Bard was available to him. His Thresh obviously was not, but he takes away from Drazar something that he had such a great early game impact on.
And there is the first rotation Renekton. So, unwilling to ban it, gonna be picked in the first rotation, and they combine it with the Caitlyn to deny the Caitlyn Karma that we saw last game.
One big difference this time, the Renekton being picked up, the Jack's not banned away.
And neither's Camille as well. They could go back to that matchup if they wanted to, but they have to pay much heavier attention to the top side from Lovesick. We saw last game struggled to get into that top side of the map, struggled to really impact Precision's lane, and that was one of the big issues for them. So going for the Sejuani again, they need to prove worthwhile, and they pair it with the Jax that we said would be one of the best picks into the Renekton. So the fact that Renekton is picked up so early means they get to go for this matchup. And the 2v2, as we're looking at it, Sejuani Jax versus Trundle Renekton, that's a Jax winning matchup.
You said it to me in the break, almost your exact words. Ban the Renekton or have something to counterpick. Have the Jax available.
Exactly.
They opted into that, and now we are going to see this one picked up brilliantly by the Lionhearts. One thing I would almost have bet, all my money on would have been that if, for instance, the Jax had been the last ban coming out of the Steelers, we probably would have seen the Renekton first pick for the Lionhearts.
I don't think they have it ready, but I want to see some shenanigans. I want them to throw the Renekton mid lane and have a counter matchup to the Jax. But it's unlikely to come through here. So
it is entirely possible, though. I mean, that Renekton has been.
I see the support bans, and they're not convinced that that Karma's going to support. Yeah, they want to take away the Bard regardless.
Yeah, a completely valid point. The Morgana is also banned away, so the
still likely to go for Lux for Steelers.
Completely narrowing down the pool there. Sivir banned away for the first time in this series, an ADC who has had a lot of play over the last few patches. It's going to be going up against the Caitlyn though, so completely different styles for two ADCs. Makes sense for the Steelers to ban it.
So the Varus still available, the Xayah still available, even the Kai'Sa, if they wanted to go for more aggressive bot lane here, they could go, for example, Nautilus Kai'Sa and try and catch out the bot lane repeatedly, kill them over and over again. It is a little bit more difficult in terms of laning, but if you make the top lane sustainable, you give the bot lane an engage pressure, suddenly you have the ability to win in multiple points on the map. London isn't as passive through the early stages.
We're of course in a world where all sorts of things can be picked up by the ADC, all sorts of AP champions that can start coming in. We saw a Chu in the UKLC recently playing as Ziggs to great effect.
If this is an army, you'd better give me that Kai'Sa Nautilus.
True Rambo, more known for playing AD champion, so I'd be surprised to see him not taking a standard ADC, but they could well still surprise us. Will we see that Karma as support or mid lane is really the big question I'm asking myself right now.
I don't think it's going to be going support right now. I think this is going to be a mid lane Karma for Ram. He is known for playing these safer mid laners, so the Karma fits right into that utility for the team. And that can be very effective. However, if they do just want to shove the Caitlyn in, they have the ability to go for that.
I did not see this coming. It is the champion that has 100% been banned in my solo queue games this year. Pyke coming onto the Rift.
Give me Kai'Sa or Xayah. They just need an ADC that pairs well with an aggressive playmaker like the Pyke here. And Kai'Sa is the #1 in my mind.
Well, with only a couple of moments left.
Oh, it's Karma bot lane.
See the Syndra, and we have just got everything I was just talking about, all wrapped up in one lovely little bundle.
So this could be
Ultimate
the
flex.
Spell Thief's Karma and the Pyke picking up all the CS.
It could be, or it could be a Syndra APC.
It could be, but it being more immobile and not having the survivability that the Karma has with the shields means it is less likely. And Karma obviously much more effective when you can go that Spell Thief's route, but that is an Aurelion Sol. Is it TFT?
What is this game? I absolutely love it. Game 3 of the series has thrown a real curveball our way. Both teams with interesting compositions, especially the Lionhearts, really not going standard here.
Okay, so going for that Aurelion Sol, what it says to me is this comp is incredibly early game focused. They need to get early advantages using that Aurelion Sol's wave clear to rotate around the map. They need to use the Caitlyn's advantage in both the push pressure and the range advantage to try and pressure out the Karma, but Karma still such a strong pick in terms of wave clear and counter to that it makes it that much more difficult. And if they can deny T-side the early game pressure, then London wins out in the long run. They have the Jax that will be out the Renekton eventually. They have the Karma, which just provides more than the Caitlyn does when you've got the DPS elsewhere in the team. There's potential here for London to even just stall the game and play a slow game and still win out. Maybe that's exactly what they needed.
The lock-ins are completed. Karma is going to be played by True Rambo, someone who I just said I could only see playing AD champions, immediately proving me wrong. It's a feels-bad moment for me, but it's a feels-good moment for anybody who's here to watch some interesting League of Legends.
And this is going to be the first time in the playoffs that we've seen Ram off of the Malzahar. He is going to be picking up a different champion this time, and it is going to be that Syndra. This is in his wheelhouse, as we were talking to earlier to one of his teammates, and he was saying that, you know, that kind of champion, that kind of more utility-focused aid to the team champion is exactly where they want to have him. And the Syndra, much more of a zone-controlling pick, but still very effective at aiding the team, provides a lot of wave clear, and doesn't have to be the central focus.
Look at that beautiful thing on your screen. No, it's not the casters. Instead, it is the Belong Arena Clash League of Legends trophy, resplendent in all its glory. One of the ultimate prizes that are trying to be won by the teams here. Both teams only 2 victories away from getting their hands on that currently pristine, fingerprintless trophy.
Let's dance.
And the Aurelion Sol. I've got to say, it's been a long time since I've seen him. I think back to watching Seb play him in solo queue, but that was a long time ago.
It's a champion that has an interesting place, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Talia pick that One More Light had last time.
So it's a champion that, if you are adept at it, has almost a higher, like one of the highest mastery win rate ratios of any champion in the game. So the more practice you get on the champion, the more insane your win rate is. I believe his win rate goes all the way up to like 56.3% if you have over 100 games on him, which is insane. So if One More Light has put in the hours, it does seem to pay off. So I need to see if he's able to utilize it effectively, because what you want to do, shove the wave hard through the early game and use the advantage in positioning to either set up your jungler, set up vision around the map, and then just open up the game for the rest of your team.
This is why I'm reminded of Talia that got banned away. That extra global presence, the ability to get to another lane really, really quickly is almost equally present for One More Light. And in fact, if anything, he's gaining extra shove from it as well.
Look at this massive shove potential he's already got, where he's already walking into the enemy jungle to put down wards on just the first wave. And look how much mana he's spent. Barely anything.
Denying 3 CS as well.
Yeah, because he posted it under tower so quickly. This is what One More Light wants to do, and I gotta say already, it looks like he's put in the hours.
Ram very much the substitute coming in place of Godmid. He's had 2, you know, pretty consistent, even games on the Malzahar. He's now got to show what he can do, whether he can really unleash Syndra's true power.
Just 2 waves in, he's got perfect CS still, and Ram is being pressured out massively. Amazing work here for One More Light, showing what the Aurelion Sol can do when you have that mastery on it. All the same, though, has had to burn all 3 corrupting pots. He's trying to make something happen in the top side.
Precision is caught in the middle of nowhere right now, trying to use his teleport to escape. Up the dragon, looking for a potential stun. Not gonna get it in time, though. Precision escapes with his life, going full Soaz on
have the W yet, I believe, as he's only
No
got
stun.
the E and the Q, so no stun available to stop that teleport. It's going to mean that Precision, as you say, pulls a Soaz to get out of there.
Meanwhile, let's talk a little bit about True Rambo and Regan and what they're looking to accomplish. The Karma and the Pike, how do these work together?
So we can have a look at the items, and we can see that Karma is going to be picking up all the CS. This isn't the cheeky double support item bot lane, so the Karma wants to get these utility items to speed up the Pike, give him these free hooks, and poke them out through the lane to get them low enough for Pike to be able to get the plays. But also, Karma is such an efficient support, or such an efficient APC rather, at sitting in the bot lane alone in that 1v2, which gives Pike the time to roam around, walk mid, potentially get plays onto the immobile Aurelion Sol, and that is where the game can open up massively, because we know that since the changes, when Pike gets an ult, yeah, that's 900 gold to your team.
It's a massive amount, because not only is Regan taking all the extra gold for himself, becoming stronger and stronger by the second, but like you say, sharing it amongst those who are lucky enough to be close enough. Meanwhile, that looked like a replay from game 1. Regan again getting the opportunity to roam out. You just said, True Rambo, able to stay in lane, able to allow Pike to go and do whatever he wants to do. I really like the Karma pick. I like the way it's working out so far for the Lionhearts.
But it's working in an even trade here, where you see the bot lane, Regan's allowed to roam, but from the wave pressure mid, so is One More Light, and that's why he's having the ability to get an early base off. And you can see the fact that he's already got the 3 corrupting pots back. Ram has nothing and is low on mana, so it's giving One More Light the time to stay on the map, roam, put down more vision. There's just nothing Ram can do about it.
I think it's going to be a battle of 2 roamers in this one. One More Light from the mid lane, Regan in the bot lane, but we've once again got to turn our attention to Precision and Arc the Dragon. Precision did not burn his flash in that Great Escape.
He still has the corrupting pots stacking, so he's going to get some health back. The thing I'm surprised by so far, zero jungle attention into this top side. We really could snowball, but now towards the bot.
Here comes the jungle attention from Luxic. Drazar burning down. The heal is going to be used by Helzy. It's not enough to stop First Blood coming in. Lovesick taking this one
and
for
in the
himself.
mid lane.
And then Ram gets the solo kill. One More Light had been so dominant, but now Casanero looking for a big jump onto Ram. Equalizes the kill in the mid lane. However, it is a 2-for-1 kill lead to the London Lionhearts.
But the kill onto One More Light, it's actually pretty huge there because the wave is going to freeze away from him if Lovesick sets this up. And it means that maybe you can see a gank potential in just a moment towards that mid with no flash available now for One More Light, just the cleanse. You have to see that big bullseye on his forehead.
Casanero getting an early kill is something that I really like to see. As a jungler who actually really likes to play Trundle, I want to see where he builds towards. Will he be looking slightly more supportive? Is he going to be tanky? Can he have some damage?
He's going to go full tank. Every Trundle does.
I'm kind of disappointed.
But because look at the rest of his team.
But not surprised.
All damage team, no tanks available. He has to be the front line for that team. And,
Yep.
They don't really have that much engage pressure yet again, so he needs to be able to just run into the enemy team, even though they're going to throw ability after ability at him, and just shrug them off.
And getting that early kill will certainly help him build towards that. However, it does mean that damage dealers will be deprived of some of the gold maybe they would have hoped for instead. Our first dragon of the game, it's a welcome addition to the dragon family. It's going to be the mountain dragon this time round. The unleashed power from Ram is good, and if it just connected with the scatter of the week, One More Light would not have been able to live to see another day.
Yeah, just going to pop that movement speed from the E to escape very close, and the phase rush as well, helping him escape. But you're seeing what Ram can do, close to having the outplay button working for him as a long-range stun lands.
Scatter of the week is going to hit. The orb drops onto One More Light's head. He's able to escape. He even gets himself a Mountain Dragon buff because the 3 squad members of the T-side Steelers will make that play and immediately go towards the mid lane. Casanero stepping forward, looking to see if he can help One More Light out. He's so low, and Regan is waiting in the wings. Of course, he's not level 6 yet.
They have to send 4 people mid just to zone Ram away, because he'd been pressuring One More Light so effectively. They needed to give him that recall timer. They're able to do that, which instantly gets him the Mercury Treads, showing how much respect he has to give to the Syndra.
What a turnaround in the mid lane to get that solo kill after having been pushed out so effectively by One More Light for so long.
And I like the choice by Ram here, going the early penetration boots. You may think that's just for the damage potential. No, he needs the movement speed upgrade because he's trying to play around the W range from One More Light that much more effectively. The early boots means that he can dodge those, get out of range and walk into the range, play around them that much more easily. That means that the Aurelian Soul becomes a lot less threatening.
It's true, and the wave clear is getting better by the moment for Ram as well, so he's going to be a little bit more likely to stop the roam coming out of One More Light.
You would think that both of them have mana troubles though, but because of these corrupting parts, they stay in lane far longer than you'd expect.
Meanwhile, Arc the Dragon and Precision deathless so far, neither one of them having a kill to the name. Precision trying to change that up, already getting damage down onto Arc the Dragon, who of course is running Conqueror, which is the same as Precision. Which one of them will be able to restore more health as these fights continue to grow?
We said that the Jax was the pick into the Renekton, but so far, it's still been in the favor of Renekton. He's been able to win out this matchup in the 1v1.
Scatter the week once again connecting onto One More Light. The unleashed power back available for Ram. Meanwhile, Lovesick, who does have level 6, manages to get the stun straight down onto Drazar. Nami is no more. It's gonna be sushi for True Rambo.
Regan isn't quite level 6 yet, so can't get that snowball rolling with the 900 gold to his team, but still able to get the kill onto True Rambo, still able to have the pressure in this bot lane. We talked about what the Caitlyn Karma did last game, where it's just, we want to get your tower. Well, you put the Karma on the other foot, well, you see where it is.
It's really, really impressive out of True Rambo, and having Regan and Lovesick for support certainly not hurting at all.
Yeah, the fact that the Karma is just providing this much, though, it just shows you how effective it is in these lanes. Where not only was the Caitlyn pick to go, we're going to deny you the Caitlyn Karma bot lane, they just go, we're just going to flex the Karma AD carry and still shove you in, even harder than last game. I love the adaptation. It's worked wonders for them, and like you said, it surprised us. True Rambo, known generally for being a more traditional AD carry, so seeing him pull this out in a more reckless-esque style is a bit surprising.
I really, really liked what London Lionhearts have done coming into this game, because it felt like everything was going to be on either Precision or Arc the Dragon to carry their teams. Both of those two players so far having a quite a quiet game on their two champions. This has led for an opportunity for someone like True Rambo to step up, and he has stepped up in a really big way so far.
So now, yeah, True Rambo holding him out, but Casanero maybe caught out in the jungle. He is going to be cut off by Lovesick. Maybe no, doesn't spot him out. So Just going to abandon that one.
Sweeper there activated just a little bit too late. However, with the scuttle being stopped for, Casanero does have to be very, very careful. Uses that frozen wasteland, gets himself to safety.
So now, what we have to look at is when does this top lane matchup begin to turn, and this could be the point.
Assassin is right now. Arc the Dragon uses the Dominus, but it's not enough to stop Regan getting the kill.
He flashes not to survive, but just to deny the bonus gold to Regan there. That's how crucial it is to deny. So even though he dies and burns flash for it, still worth in the long run.
Rom using those boots to get himself to safety as quick as possible. The stun is going to land him with Casanero present. Rom does decide to burn the flash, decided to keep himself nice and safe. Regan comes straight in, finds a pillar straight on top of his head.
So now the...
Always an awkward feeling that when you find a pillar just right on top of your head.
You're just walking in, charging up your Q, and you just get a pillar directly in your face.
That is the sound effect it would make.
Boink.
Boink.
Okay, let's go with boink. And now we can see, like, because they've had this pressure, they've had that pressure off the gank towards top side. They've got Syndra able to pressure a bit better in mid lane. It has allowed them to make this play, but now Casanero going deep.
Rom's in the 2v1 and he's going to get a kill. He doesn't even burn down. That's going to be a nice outplay from Ron. He didn't even have the flash to save himself there, just using the ignite, completely outplaying one more light in Casanero. Meanwhile, the Herald was secured by Lovesick.
And Casanero may be getting a bit frustrated with the tempo of this game, and it turns on him really quickly there, as it's not quite enough to finish him off. It's got to be heartbreaking for him, but he got a bit too cocky there, pushed the advantage a bit too far. Take the fact that you forced her off of lane and you're going to get tower pressure for free and walk away.
Precision wants his first kill. We're going to see a slow catching on to Arc the Dragon. Precision stepping forward. Lovesick takes that kill away from his top laner, but still there's going to be good pressure applied to these turrets. We're only 11 minutes 30 into the game. So many turret plays to be had. Herald already put down.
And that CS deficit is all but gone when you look at the amount of gold he's going to get from these tower shards off the back of this Rift Herald. Very effective for Precision. And now
he's got a gold lead.
A gold lead, exactly.
That shouldn't be possible.
He's down 20 CS, all these tower shards doing wonders for him.
Really, really nice adaptation coming out of the Lionhearts, realizing that their star man was having a bit of a rough time of things, and with 2 quick fire kills turning things around in his favor.
And every single member of the London Lionhearts is up in gold on their opponents right now. This is showing you how well they've just been playing out in their lanes. They got winning matchups in both mid and bot once it came down to it, because this Syndra able to get these kills in spite of the pressure put down by Casanero. The bot lane winning out naturally, and now the top lane has been given this advantage from the tower shards. London Lionhearts, they're in good position to take the game to T-side in the mid game. Like we said, they just stall it out. They do outscale, so we've already got step 1 complete, get an early advantage. If they just play safe and don't overforce, they are set to take this one.
Yeah, this is one game where the Steelers cannot afford to stall like we saw in the last couple of games. What I really like for the Lionhearts is that we saw that gold lead they had. That is completely coming out of turret plates and kills. We've seen one more light completely caught again. He gets stunned up by Regan, who's looking for the death from above. One more light completely dead to rights, uses the voice of light, but it's not enough. The one more light is snuffed out, and Ram gets a 3rd kill.
It almost looked like he was looking elsewhere on the map when he got caught out there. It didn't even attempt to dodge the pike stun, and ends up getting punished quite hard for it, uses the cleanse and still dies. As that's a really nice pick. 7-1 the scoreline as London. We talked about what happened with T-side during the break. London looking a lot better this time as well, as Ram on the different champion to the Malzahar, much more proactive, much better at making these plays, and he's trying to have some confidence. It's working wonders for them.
It's fitting that we have a Nami in this game, because this series seems to be ebbing and flowing one way than the other. And right now, it is Drazar and his Nami who is finding the flow of the tides against him, because the Lionhearts are taking the advantage. 3k gold lead. They get themselves a Cloud Dragon as well.
Yeah, that Cloud Dragon, not quite as effective as the Mountain that did go over to T-side, but still a welcome addition to the team's stats. Now we need to see how they look to balloon this gold lead further, because these tower shards are being taken in the top side, but nowhere else, as it's just gone down. So we need to see the gold lead ballooned elsewhere. The Rift Herald was already used. We need to see this top tower taken. We need to see lane swaps. We need to see the ability to move multiple people to get a numbers advantage and use that to take the map by storm, push Vision deeper. Like we keep saying, find picks by getting Vision set up so you can catch somebody unaware.
Turret plating has fallen off, and first turret has fallen down. Meanwhile, we're going to see Jax completing this recall. Will he be able to complete the Triforce on this back? I certainly think so.
And the Triforce coming through is a big spike, because you look at the fact that Arc the Dragon wasn't able to just rush the Shojin like he has done, like the Renekton's did in the last 2 games, forced to go Tiamat to try and survive the matchup a bit easier. It means that spike, where he was 1v1ing people so easily, is a lot longer of a way off. He still has to find a way to back with 1,300 gold, which is very difficult at this phase of the game unless you get a long time in a side lane. So, Precision set to win this one for at least the next 5 minutes, maybe.
And it speaks so strongly of how much further ahead Arc the Dragon was in the last game, as we see the pullback from Casanero landing the Bone Skewer. Sorry, from Regan pulling Casanero back with the Bone Skewer. In the last game, even though the Tiamat was picked up early by Arc the Dragon, he had the Spear of Shojin on top of it almost at this point because of the lead that he'd gained. That is very much so not the case in this game, as we see True Rambo stepping forward, getting some decent damage down, dodging away from the bubble.
Yeah, still able to pressure them out, as now Precision versus Arc the Dragon. We're seeing what we talked about.
Trinity Force versus not a lot. Dash in from Precision. The Grandmaster's might is there, but it's not going to be enough. Arc the Dragon just had to turn and take one last chop, but Precision stays alive.
And he isn't going to be spotted out on his way back to the base, maybe?
Oh, one more light is looking for Precision. He's going to find him, but there's company coming along. Here's Regan. One more light gets the kill to Precision, but it's going to be a twofer for the London Lionhearts as Rom comes in with Regan and shows them how it's done.
And look at that, that's 900 gold sitting in the pocket of Regan right there. 3 of your cut all goes off at once. Massive amount of gold, and the snowball is rolling.
1,700 gold lead purely for Regan over Drazar. He's essentially an extra carry now.
He's almost got the same amount of gold as his AD carries. That's rather fitting when you could look at the amount of lethality he gets to pick up pretty soon. He is going to do a ton of damage. You can't disrespect this champion.
A turret was picked up by the Steelers, however the response from the Lionhearts was good, continuing to push up the mid lane. Talk to me about this difference in Karma build. We're seeing the Luden's Echo picked up early because we're seeing this AP carry build.
Yes. Hard shove. You need to shove the waves. You need the Luden's Echo early to empower them.
What does that mean for your supportability? Obviously, you get some nice ratios out of it, but you haven't necessarily got something like an Ardent Sensor where you're going to be boosting powers.
Think about this.
Do you
Who
need
is she
to?
going to be boosting up? Because
Jax.
she's not boosting up an AD carry in this game. Jax is going to be off in a side lane. You're not going to have access to him often enough. So there's no real effectiveness in going for that. So going for the full AP build gives you the ability to get larger shields still because you have an AP ratio, whilst getting more poke, more damage, and still being effective in the game beyond just that mid game. Your poke is going to be relevant at all phases.
So itemization-wise, you're really happy with what True Rambo's doing here?
I think it's the correct build for the situation, yes, 100%.
Good stuff. And that is yet more good decision making coming out of the London Lionhearts, who have looked so strong in this game 3 of this series. Halsey is stepping forward, trying to get damage down, but look at the damage that just comes through from one blast from Karma.
Exactly.
The Mantra Q and that massive chunk with the Luden's Echo just doing its work, showing just what they are made of. Arc the Dragon yet again caught out by Precision. The Conqueror stacks are being applied.
Lesson, just going to back off knowing he got the chunk, doesn't need to go any further.
Meanwhile, Regan is just looking for any kind of play, doesn't decide to throw a Bone Skewer out this time.
Yeah, has massive movement speed out of combat now. He's got the lethality for that bonus movement speed. Ooh.
3 versus 1, Precision possibly biting off more than he can chew. Arc the Dragon trying to bite off a Jax's leg. Casanero chasing down, has used the subjugate, has already got the slowdown. Precision looking for his second great escape of the game. Has he got a ward? He jumps over the wall. He gets himself to the safety of the waiting Karma. And yet again, your man Precision is an escape god.
And he gets out of that one for free whilst his team is pushing on the bot side. So they're going to now make a play because they know so many members committed to that top side.
Lovesick Glacial Prison again, not quite catching onto his target. Scatter the Weak, on the other hand, knocks onto 2. The Tidal Wave already used defensively by Drazar.
And I love the fact that they're able to capitalize on that play from Precision with him baiting those members to chasing him for so long. They get full control of the bottom side. They've got a full tempo advantage. With all of the side of T-side basing, they're still out on the map. They're able to get this dragon without giving anything up, without losing any pressure anywhere, and they got the tower. This is so good for London. Now they sit 5k in the lead, 2 dragons for themselves. These rotations, they're going to get even faster.
There'll be a 3rd Cloud Dragon up in 5 minutes time. If the Lionhearts get that as well, they will really be speedy boys, especially with a Karma Mantra speed boost.
God, the speed of that Pike is going to be terrifying when you see double Cloud Dragon, Moby Boots, and he's going to go Yomu's likely as his next item as well.
Everything about Pike is terrifying though, Sin. It's a stupid champion.
I'm not going to disagree with you.
Oh man, honestly, that champion is the bane of my life and 100% banned in every game I play.
It's such a difficult champion to play around because if you play even slightly sloppy in a fight, and he's able to collapse quick enough, clean up, even land just one ultimate to get a kill, then if you got a 2-for-1, even a 3-for-1 trade, and that one kill back was just Pike ult killing you, unless you're able to get an objective off the back, that's called an even trade in gold.
Yeah, and I still have a little bit of PTSD from being over in Madrid watching the university
Odd
teams.
flex, but okay.
No. It basically what happened is one of our uni teams from England went up against the Germans and they had to win in a certain amount of time. Things were looking good for them, and then a Pike out of nowhere gets a quadra kill, turns the game on its head, and that was the end of the British dreams.
Yeah, especially with the changes to the Pike ultimate. You say that quadra kill there, you know how much gold that nets for your team?
So
Just
much.
4,500.
Yep.
Ouch. Yep.
So why is Pike a champion again?
I find it interesting because like they nerfed him in all the solo lanes and went, yeah, let's just nerf G2 by making sure he can't be a solo lane champion.
No, only Mickey is
But we
allowed.
like Mickey X, so he's allowed to play it still at least.
Oh dear, the Baron is back up, and last time we saw the Lionhearts not able to take the advantage. This time with Regan dashing forward, they are able to take out every advantage they want. True Rambo gets his second kill, all of the assist gold going into Regan's pocket.
A really nice collapse there, and it's just the movement speed. You see Caitlyn, what's she meant to do about that? We said when they've got this Caitlyn Morgana, Nami, they're just completely immobile. They get caught out like this time and time again.
Drazar lives for far longer than he had any right to. Casanero immediately forced to the safety of his own turret, and surely the Baron is on the cards.
And this is why we called for the likes of a Nautilus in the support role, because with an immobile bot lane like this, one hook is the death of them. They can't come back, they don't have the dashes or the overall mobility to escape. So the moment that Caitlyn gets hit by that Pike Q, she's dead. The moment Nami gets any CC on her, she is just dead.
Lionhearts say nuts to the Baron instead, saying all your base is ours. They push forward.
They've learned the lesson. Don't go to Baron, just end the game.
They've got a 3-1-1 split going, and now we're going to see these 3 members strong, finding Casanero, taking out the jump to the Lionhearts.
So
he is a tanky boy, however, and Halsey is throwing down as much damage as possible. True Rambo taking a headshot, a scatter the weak, lands onto 3, and Casanero has the ignite burning down on him. Drazar does throw the ebb and flow his way, keeping his jumper alive. However, he is going to have to go straight back to base. Shutdown comes through, the voice of light is good, and one more light continues to push forward with the rest of his team. Somehow a 1-for-0 in favor of the Steelers. Perfectly timed Drazar there. Sorry, W keeping alive his jungler.
Yeah, the ebb and flow, it wasn't even just the ebb and flow, it was the airy shield was just enough to save his life on the back side of it. The ignite barely not ticking down, but the overcommittal to kill Casanero using all their abilities on the tank means that there's nothing to stop the DPS carries from being picked off. So one more light is able to pick up that kill on the back side of it. They get some tempo on the map. Finally, they have some vision control. They have shoving waves again. They need to get this mid lane tower down so they can open up the map again, but they need to be able to have control of this river to do so. And you see them moving towards the Baron, getting this vision control for exactly that purpose.
This is the first time in possibly the entire game that the Steelers have got themselves any kind of vision control around the Baron. Casanero, in my eyes there, should have been absolutely dead to rights, but he uses the subjugate onto Lovesick.
Yeah.
And as a result, is completely able to survive with a little bit of help from his friends.
Precision got the Shojin before the Renekton did as well, so this is even more of an oppressive matchup in the top side. I think you can just allow the Jax to sit in the bottom lane, push 1v1, win out consistently, and just sit mid as a 4v4 hard shoving, knowing that he is going to win that one out consistently. You get vision control, you deny all resources, and the gold lead will just naturally expand, even if it's just by a couple hundred per minute, per couple minutes. It can work out in the long run because you're just bleeding them out, you're choking them out of resources on the map, and they don't have the engage to stop you.
I do respect the build path coming out of Art the Dragon, however, realizing where he is in the game, actually opting not to go straight into the Shojin, instead getting that Black Cleaver nice and early, building towards the Sterix as well, trying to make sure he's surviving.
Towards Titanic, just to get some wave clear.
But either way, keeping himself a little bit more alive, and he's going to have to now because he's got Precision jumping onto his face. One more light is here for company, forced to flash out of Precision. Look how low Art the Dragon is. He uses the dominance to keep himself alive for now. However, Precision is there. 1, 2, 3, 4 hits, a 5th hit, a 6th hit, a 7th hit, a dead. One more light would have been the result. Instead, the turret hit might take down Precision. The ace in the hole is blocked by True Rambo. Precision lives. Arc the Dragon dies.
And you can see the power of the Shojin in that fight. He gets 2 counter-strikes off in very quick succession, which saves his life, means he can get the outplay. And Regan, he's not done with you yet.
He had vision on one more line. It was enough for him to dash over the wall. Regan taking turret shot, not quite able to heal up enough. Doesn't take down one more life, does not die himself. so many narrow margins keeping players alive in this game.
But forcing both summoners out from him in trade for your Ignite.
Oh.
As Halsey gets hit by the outplay button, but barely not enough to finish him off there.
Casanero, however, now is able to chase down towards
nice
Rom.
open Lovesick.
Lovesick keeping his mid laner alive. Right now, there are kills spread across the board for the London Lionhearts. Every single member of their team, at least one kill. Multiple carry potential.
But you're seeing how aggressive the London Lionhearts want to play this one just from the item choice. Look at that Warmog's armor coming through. He wants to get into fights, walk out, heal up, get into another fight immediately. This is a I want to engage multiple times in a minute kind of item.
And now we're going to see third Cloud Dragon secured by the London Lionhearts. They are going to be so speedy across
boys.
the rest. Casanero clearing as much vision as he can, but he's got to be so careful. If he gets collapsed on now by the Pike, by the Karma, it could just mean the Baron straight away going to the Lionhearts.
Yeah, they've got the full gotta go fast comp with maybe even like a Karma shielded Pike activating Youmu's, having the triple Cloud Drake on top of the Moby Boots, just moving at light speed around the map to make picks. Potential for plays is immense when you don't even have that much engage pressure other than the Sejuani, but you can just force it by being that quick that the Bruisers are just given access to the backline.
For the third game in a row, things have started to stall out slightly. However, the gold lead has continued to build for the London Lionhearts. Each time that they've had a lead, they've continued to make small leads, and this time they've got the scaling advantage too.
Because this is the first time that we've seen them having consistent advantages in both the 4v4 and the 1v1 in the top side.
More than a 2,000 gold lead for both Jax and for Pike over the Renekton and the Nami. That is so scary.
Almost 3,000 gold above the Nami now as well. This is absolutely ridiculous in terms of just the fact that Pike isn't a support at a certain point in the game. He just becomes an additional carry, yeah.
Great champ, balance. Did I tell you that?
I think you alluded to it, yeah.
Meanwhile, what do the Steelers need to do right now? Is it all about just getting one good team fight?
Well, currently you're at 4.5 champions versus 5, so it's a very difficult to find a play, but you'd have to find an outnumbered situation where you find somebody out of position.
One more light steps forward, he gets caught by the Bone Skewer. In goes Precision, keeping the rest of his team alive. He is eating a lot of turret shots, however. He hops himself out. True Rambo going low. One more light, even lower. There's going to be Casanero dashing forward, trying to do everything he can with the Trumbull. Regan is going to go in, uses the death from below to get a kill. Ace in the hole, not going to chunk his health. No health, no kills picked up by the Steelers. Lionhearts get themselves one.
And we said they needed to find a numbers advantage. That was a 4v4. They did lose out on it, but we see the potential they have, where they still have a lot of damage. They still have these CC layers they can get. It's just finding a way to get them at the right time.
Anyone would have thought that the Steelers won that last fight because they're the ones who are going aggressive. They get themselves their second turret. Meanwhile, Jax is split pushing in the bot lane.
Jax
Here
is
comes
going to try
Karma.
and get a tower for it. They're just going to stop them from recoiling.
Rom
Halsey's
flashes
gone.
forward. The unleashed power is going to take down Halsey. Rambo with the flankers there, looking for Drazer. It's going to be Regan who is the focus of the Dragon's Wrath. He's trying to get himself away. The Crocodile is chasing the ebb, the flow, but the
they get the
speedy
tower.
Cloud Dragon is going to help Regan out. He gets to safety. Jax with the split push, doing everything he can. The Dragon again dashing down towards Regan. And look at the damage coming out. Nami absolutely obliterated. That's not even support or combat. That's just a carry. Deleting a support. He gets a double kill onto the Dragon. Casanero is sent running for the hills. One more light, trying to do everything he can to save him. Lovesick has his target in his sight and sends Trundle straight back to the base. Meanwhile, Jax is rejoining the fight and he is straight into the base of the T-side Steelers. He's going so low, however, and Trundle managed to pick up a kill. Lovesick has gone too deep and suddenly 2 quick kills for the Steelers.
The overstep punishes them, but the 2 ultimate kills from Pike means that the gold lead is still extending. It's just the tempo that is stalling. So look at the gold lead now. 4.5k in the lead there for Regan. Absolutely insane lead, but they can't allow those kind of plays to happen consistently or they're just going to fall away. And now they're even given access to the Baron because of lack of tempo.
2 words, desperation Baron. That is what the T-side Steelers are looking for right now. Regan is slowly making his way towards the pit. He uses a little bit of fruit to get himself healthy. That's going to be the Baron already secured by the Steelers, but how many of the buffs can they escape with? All 5 members trying to dash out of the pit. Regan and Ram completely unable to stop them so far, and what a steal that is for the Steelers. Meanwhile, it's Ram going in, unleashed power onto one more light, removes 1 buff, but 4 remain for the Steelers.
It's still worth it because they walk out
Massively.
with 4 Baron buffs.
Incredible.
They're onto the members. Unfortunately, Regan not really able to get into the pit, zoned off very effectively, and the Baron just shredded so quickly because of that 1 Mountain Drake from earlier.
Was that desperation or was that just pure genius?
Honestly, it was the lack of tempo because they overforced in the mid lane. They hadn't got the ability to get back onto the map quick enough. They get punished for it. Because they over-aggressed, there are no members left to stop the Baron from being taken.
There was a moment during the fight previous to that one, after the really nice collapse that came out of True Rambo and the rest of the team, where it felt like they could have stopped chasing Casemiro. They could have gone, you know what, we can just run away and take the Baron now, or take whatever objective we want. Instead, the 2 members die in the mid lane, and that's all that was needed. The small... This is what I saw in game 1. This is the Steelers taking small chances and making them work.
Because they think that the only way they can get Baron, literally the only way, is to kill the enemy jungler.
Yes.
Their jungler wasn't killed, and they just lost Baron for it. So they need to acknowledge that there are other ways to get Baron other than Casanero already being dead.
Casanero might find himself dead in the moment. He just about dodges away from the Bone Skewer. Meanwhile, look at Precision completely caught out. Arc the Dragon jumping straight down to him, getting the stun, but losing half his health in the process. Precision now getting chunked down by the T-side Steelers. They've still got the Baron buff, but they're choosing to fight in the middle of nowhere. Casanero gets caught out by Regan, but it's going to be Nami who picks up the kill. So
one for one.
True Rambo completely caught out, but look at the damage he throws down with the inner flare. Oh my god, I can't believe what damage I just saw coming out of this Karma, who now finds Arc the Dragon as well. Might be looking for a double kill. Regan got the damage, Lovesick gets the kill, and now the Lionhearts remove 3 more Baron buffs and turn towards an Infernal.
And it's just Razar left with the Baron buff now. That's going to mean that this Infernal is going to go towards them. That's the 4th Dragon of the game. They're getting these stacked up so effectively, and with an 8k gold lead, London Lionhearts are not going to let it slip like last time.
I've understood the Steelers' decision-making for the most part, but fighting with the Baron buff, having just got that objective in the jungle around a dragon, seems so needless.
And a True Rambo, though. It's we normally see like a Kai'Sa in modern metas, just landing long-range W after long-range W, slowly poking someone out of a fight. But True Rambo, he doesn't need to do that. He walks into melee range of you, chunks 3 people out at once,
boom,
and then wins you the fight for it.
Yeah.
So True Rambo, truly the MVP of that fight.
On the other side of things, you look at Halsey, who, as we know, has quite a significant gold disadvantage despite the 20 CS lead. Has now got some significant items, however. Actually, he's only 5 or so 100 gold behind True Rambo. But what will he be able to bring to the fight? There's only one standard ADC in this game, and it is the Caitlyn. So far, hasn't had any real impact on fights.
And do you know who else hasn't had an impact, though? Is Arc the Dragon, as he's really struggling to get into the game as well, with 2 of their strongest damage dealers struggling to get into fights, and their carry in One More Light, who is meant to be the guy carrying through the early game, is a champion that falls off as hard as the Aurelian Sol does. It means that there's very few ways for them to get back into this in spite of mistakes from London Lionhearts. They need to see so many more mistakes to capitalize on to have a way back into this.
In every other game in this series, the team with the Crocodile got the early lead, got their top laner ahead. In this one, there was a stalemate in the top lane for so long, and then eventually Arc the Dragon falling behind, that he's not had the opportunity to do that. And you see it in every duel against Precision, that he has to have multiple members of his team helping him out.
Yeah, we saw the last 2 Renekton's walk into the top lane like, what up, I got a big croc, but then this time around, it's just been a lot more disappointing. The Sterix Gauge just overcompensating for something, you'd have to say.
Meanwhile, Casanero is playing a dangerous old game, walking around with Lovesick and also Regan just trying to find themselves a catch. Baron has yet to spawn again, but you've got to imagine that the Lionhearts will be looking straight towards that objective if they find a catch.
And so I'm actually really interested, though, because we've seen Precision. We noticed this a few minutes ago. It's the Manamune coming in for him, where he wants to get the hyper-scaling late-game damage on the Jax. Really interesting choice, but not what I've seen that often. It's just, it gives him some mana, but at the same time, is this really as strong as going something like an instant Wit's End or a Sterix or a GA?
Yeah, quite questionable. It's going to take a while to stack up as well, and we're already 33 minutes into the game. However, the inhibitor turrets are now under siege, and the team with the 8,000 gold lead keeps landing these damaging ranged abilities. Casanero steps forward, trying to do everything he can to clear out these waves, but it is an assault on all fronts. There's even a wave pushing in the top lane for the Lionhearts.
Yeah, and the fact that they zone him off of this wave, they force him back into the fountain, means they can set up this next wave for free without being shoved off.
Arc the Dragon doing what he can to clear out, Precision stepping forward, and now we're going to see Lovesick pushing that wave straight up to the turret. There are now going to be waves arriving in every single lane. Halsey does have a decent bit of wave clear, has the static shift, and so far the stall is good. However, with Baron spawning in just a few moments, the Lionhearts have got another option to try and draw the Steelers out of their base.
You can see that they've got all this potential to do damage, but With them that far away with the Caitlyn traps to zone them off, it's hard to get these going, so they're having to utilize the 1-3-1 effectively, shove all the waves in, split up the enemy, and then find a weak spot to engage on.
The T-side Steelers have got to pull the trigger shortly, haven't they?
They have to, or the game is just going to stall out, and unfortunately, the Baron looks like the next objective they're playing for. They can't force onto these these inhibitor towers, rather, until they've got the waves stacked up fully, and with the wave flip being just enough between the Aurelion Salt and the Caitlyn to keep them out, that Baron buff has to be the tool they need to deny that.
Casanero and team have got to do such a good job of clearing this vision as fast as they can, because the Lionhearts just all recalled, bought 4 control wards
vision?
between
I
them.
want Raptors.
No, get the vision, please. The red buff is going to go over to Halesy. They're going to find that final control ward in their own side of the jungle. However, look at what Pyke and Syndra are doing right now. Getting that vision down, making sure that this is going to be as blind as possible for the Steelers.
Yeah, and getting this much vision down this quickly means that because it's likely that Casanero has to reset, you get to rush Baron very quickly if they aren't allowed on it. And we have to see London Lionhearts have the nerve to rush Baron, knowing that Casanero can't be there in time, knowing that they don't have to kill him to get it. They have the ability to just play around it effectively.
This is what the Lionhearts did not do in Game 1. They were so indecisive around the Baron. They started it up for the first time this game. Drazar has immediately used that scrying, or able to using that sweep, just able to get a little bit of vision in terms of what is happening. That's going to have to zone the Lionhearts off. They're indecisive once more. This time, however, they force a flash out of Drazar, and then they catch onto Halesy. A lovely bone skewer, but it's Regan who's taking the most damage. He's going to be using his Guardian Angel, keeping himself alive. Casanero catches onto Lovesick, managed to take down the opposition jungler, and Regan's going to fall as well. A 2 for 0 for the Steelers as Rob runs for his life. Already we see Jax pushing towards the inhib. Precision able to get a massive, massive objective for his team, but his comrades lost 2 of their lives, and once again the Baron could go over to the Steelers.
But Renekton's had to base to try and zone off the Jax.
This is going to be 2 members of the Lionhearts doing what they can to try and stop Casanero. Here comes the teleport for Precision. It's going to be a 3 versus 4 in the Baron. So much damage being put down by the spits of the Baron. Casanero is low. Casanero is dead. And now we're going to see that True Rambo is on a complete rampage. He's looking for more. He's making everybody go forwards. Double kill for the Karma. Jax gets one as well. Drazar is dead to right. And Art the Dragon is definitely going to be arriving too late to this party.
And because he had the pressure of that bot side onto the inhib, Arc the Dragon had to base to use the numbers advantage to collapse into the Baron, and Precision only 2, 3, and 7 on his scoreline, but the scoreline doesn't say it all. This man has been clutch this game for his team.
Rom is taking so much damage, playing a dangerous old game, but here comes Regan. He's looking for Drazar in the wings. He's on top of a ward. He's caught out by the Pyke. Meanwhile, Arc the Dragon does not have a flash available. He'll have to walk the long way around if he's to try and stop this Baron going down. It absolutely is dead. That is going to be 5 Baron buffs for the London Lionhearts. They got the bot lane inhibitor as well.
With that, with the inhibitor down and Baron buff on all 5 members, you have to think that the game is fully in hand for the side of London. They can't let it slip now. They just have to play this slowly. Maybe play a 4-1, just put Jax in either the bot lane to push those super minions in and get a flank, or push the top lane in to maximize where you're getting that Baron buff onto the inhibitor towers to then be able to blow this game wide open. And the fact that they're going to have the Elder Dragon on top of it, a 4-stack Elder Dragon, this Karma Poke can straight up one-shot an AD carry.
Casanero wants to contest, but he just cannot get near to this Elder Dragon, which goes over to Lionhearts. They get double buff on all 5 members, and now they can turn their attention to whichever of the top 2 lanes they want, knowing that they've got super minions pushing in the bottom
So
line.
this means that every single spell does 225 additional true damage as a spell effect after the end of the damage. So just playing non-committal, slow, using the Syndra and the Karma Poke works here. You force people off of towers very quickly, and you know that the Baron-empowered minions are going to do a lot of the work for you already.
Caitlyn with a line of traps trying to zone the Lionhearts away. However, the split push is strong from this London Lionhearts team. The Scatter the Weak lands onto 2, and Halesy on 1 more light eat far much more of their health bars and damage than they would like. Precision taking down Inhibitor Turret, decided to jump on towards Art the Dragon, also able to escape away from 1 more light. Only 1 Inhibitor Turret remains on the map for the T-side Steelers as they look to try and defend.
They're being spread too thin right now. They have to commit so many members to different parts of the map. They have to send 4 to the top just to get Precision away. Meanwhile, the super minions are on the Nexus tower on the bottom side, and the mid lane inhibitor tower is falling.
It's fallen now. 2 inhibitors will fall straight after Regan, and putting the pressure on with the minions, taking down a Nexus turret as well. The Steelers have to fight right now, otherwise they lose this game in this exact moment. The Lionhearts are looking to crush the dreams of the Steelers in game number 3. Forward comes one more light. The voice of light is good. Trundle gets the shutdown onto Ram, but that's going to be the execute damage in there. Ram takes down Halsey. Regan takes down another, and Drazer is left running for the hills, executed for days. This is going to be a Nexus. This is going to be the game. This is the Lionhearts on match point.
And another decisive game from the London Lionhearts as they didn't let their foot off the pedals this time. They didn't let the Baron stall them for too long. They were finding plays in spite of that Baron. And for being able to utilize it so effectively once they got it to end that game so quickly.
And for the first time in this series, it really felt like stalling was a really bad option.
Yeah.
And eventually, the sands of time just ran out for the T-side Steelers.
So not only did they have the early game aggression in their favor, they had the scaling in their favor, as you alluded to. So stalling the game just meant that they got more item spikes. The Jax got even scarier to the point where he became nigh unkillable towards the end of the game. And you saw what the Elder Dragon was doing as well once they acquired it. Just one Syndra QE was chunking people down to half HP, not from the damage, but from the burn afterwards.
A great game there for the London Lionhearts. They put themselves at match point. They had 2 match points against the Portsmouth Pirates this time 6 months ago.
Don't give them PTSD. Don't do that. Don't do that to them.
You know what? You know, they can go out there and, you know, and prove the critics wrong. Regan already with a strong showing.
Yes.
Both of the games the Lionhearts have won, he has been really instrumental in driving
Exactly.
them forwards.
And the Pike so huge this game in setting up play after play, ultimate after ultimate to give the gold. Give the extra gold to these other carries, give the extra gold to himself, as you saw near the end of the game, around an 8k gold lead over his opponent. It was insane.
Well, it feels like the staff venue have switched on one more light for us, possibly a few too many lights. During this this small bit of replays that we're going to show you, we're going to have a little break. We'll be back for game 4 of this series to see whether or not we're going to Silver Scrapes. in this series. A real evolution of team compositions has been key. So far, the London Lionhearts doing the better job of adapting, taking a 2-1 advantage in the series. What can the T-side Steelers do to bounce back?
I know, you think what you got to say here is blue side's won every game, so maybe we're looking at a game 5, but London looked so dominant in that last win. They looked so dominant in their first win that I hope they've adapted. I hope they can take that strength that they showed on the blue side, move it into the red, and still have those kind of plays that they can make. But we saw one of the issues in that last game for the T side was the fact that they picked Renekton so early. When you should be picking it third and then banning the Jax, they locked it in immediately in their first rotation. That's where the issues began. That's where things started to fall apart for them, because Renekton just doesn't win in the long run against Jax. He gets outscaled. They go for the Sejuani with it, so they've still got 2v2 pressure. They've still got later game potential of Jax just cleaning up a fight because the Sejuani just happens to be nearby. And that potential meant that when they got an early lead, they could just, you know, like Jigglypuff in Melee, just stall for time.
And I feel like that's where a lot of credit is due to this adaptation and the way that the champ select has been handled by the London Lionhearts in the last game. It's what I want to see coming out of the T-side Steelers as we go here. As you said, blue side's been an advantage so far. Do they know how to adapt, how to pick these champions, what order to make sure that they get their best possible composition? Let's for a moment talk about that bot lane. Karma and Pyke was just played by the London Lionhearts, and it wrecked face.
It's a nice adaptation because they pick the Karma away to deny the Caitlyn Karma rotation, and then they pick Caitlyn to deny the Caitlyn Karma on the other side. They just go, we're just going to shove you in with the Karma anyway. We're going to pick that into the AD carry position and go for something that it enables with the fact that it can go 1v2. And both of these AD carries have been very much centered on, can I just survive in a 2v1 where I'm the one person on my own as a nice little toothless mascot there.
I'm sure he's hoping that his play in this game will be anything but toothless.
Is that Arc the Dragon as well? Because that's even cuter.
It's got to be, right?
That's even cuter if it is. Oh my god, that's adorable.
Predictions coming into this game, was that enough of a stomp that you feel it's going 3-1?
There's such stomps and so much dominance either way, where it looks like in those games, when London gets a lead, it doesn't look like there's any chance for T-side to come back, and when T-side gets a lead, it doesn't look like there's any chance for London to come back. So the early game is incredibly crucial to this.
So what you're saying to me is, whoever wins the first 10 minutes, despite the inevitable stall that will come for the next 20 minutes, will win the game.
But because of the lack of adaptation I've seen from the side of T-side, I am going to look more towards, in terms of the adaptation of pick and ban at least, London being the advantageous side coming into this game 4. So I'm hoping they can continue what they've done so far in adapting in draft, finding the way to still get winning lanes, even when it looks like they lost out early in draft, and then transition that into early game advantages.
One of the big questions coming into this series was which of the returning players would have the biggest impact. So far, Regan, the returning support, who was here 6 months ago, Insomnia 64, going up against the Portsmouth Pirates, has had absolutely stunning games. However, this is the same Regan who lost 3-2 in that series and still must have that at the back of his mind.
So ban order at least switched up, as we see the Gnar and the Thresh still banned away.
And the Pyke is going to be taken away as well.
They're terrified of Regan.
And maybe this changes up the style that the Lionhearts will do. We saw after they won a game last time, they basically drafted the same composition. Not going to have the ability to straight off the bat.
And the Caitlyn as well. The Udyr still likely to be banned away by London here. Is Catanaria's best champion, but the fact that it wasn't banned so early, interesting choice. That the fact that they banned the Caitlyn here is to deny the Caitlyn Karma, so they're not forced to pick Caitlyn in their first 2 picks if the enemy picks Karma first.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm glad you explained it to me, because I'll be honest, I was slightly bamboozled. Got one more ban still to come through. We're still yet to see a Crocodile ban, but this time Jax is here, which surely forces Renekton ban.
Yeah, but the thing is, that would leave the Udyr up and available for Casanero, so you have to give them the Renekton first pick, unfortunately.
Wow. That's... Oh,
but
the Jarvan.
Also
that's the one that didn't get banned. I was trying to remember because the Caitlyn came in place something.
The Caitlyn is replacing the Jarvan ban, so this means that London Lionhearts have the ability to go for the Renekton if they want. It has been so crucial this series, and with the Jax banned away, it seems more and more likely, unless we see some shenanigans and T-side has something prepped into it.
I mean, obviously we can't speak for how strong Casanero is on the champion, but is the Jarvan really that much of an important pick that you potentially give away not only the Karma, which I was just about to say, but potentially the Renekton as well, which has been so dominant when Jax hasn't been on the table?
There's still a lot of discussion going through, so I want to see where this does end up. But the Renekton, very likely, but I like the Jarvan in terms of what it can do. It's an early game aggressive jungler that scales into the game as a tank. So if you get ahead early, you can go for a more AD route, but if you don't, you can go for a more tanky route. They're not willing to go for the Renekton this early. They still feel like there's some counter picks on the table.
Ram across 4 games now will have only played the 2 champions twice each. It's going to be the Syndra again in game 2. For me, his Syndra was far more impactful than his Malzahar was. Talia picked back up probably for One More Light, who had a great game on it in game 2.
Yeah, the Talia definitely good because One More Light had a good game on it already, but Talia is a different animal into Syndra. If Syndra starts to get a lead, she will just one-shot that little Talia, but unfortunately for her, she isn't a mobile mage, so if Talia starts to get control of the wave and she's able to get those shoves off, Syndra can't really escape them that easily.
The Renekton not prioritized at all by the Steelers, a champion which up until the last game had been on the winning team each of the first 2 games. Maybe that little stutter that came in from Mark the Dragon on Renekton is enough to take their mind away from the Crocodile, but the Lionhearts could still lock it in here and then ban away 2 oppositions to it.
You know, I might want to see like maybe even a Jinx ban here to get that away from Halesey, because you see like the Lulu pretty much guaranteed to be going support. So the 2 best champions that pairs with are Jinx and Vayne. We are seeing the Rek'Sai come out from Lovesick this time.
When's the last time you saw a Rek'Sai in competitive play?
It's not too long ago. It is still a fairly strong champion, but it is just a weaker Xin Zhao, unfortunately, at the minute. But it does have more of the in and out potential, so that does fit what Lovesick likes to do more. So it just tries to keep up with the Jarvan, and that's what he wants to do. Keep up in tempo with the Jarvan, have the aggression that matches it.
ADC's now starting to be banned away by the London Lionhearts. We have, of course, got to factor in the fact that Halsey could still take that Talia as sort of an APC. It is something that we saw earlier in the season.
So I'm going to try and call the fact that they're going to go either Jinx or Vayne here if you're T-side. Jinx less likely because you're up against a Syndra, and the both of them aren't incredibly likely against Syndra. However, when you've got a Lulu to keep you safe, it becomes that much easier to play. When you've got the spacing potential, because you've got a Jarvan and a Talia giving you that space to activate you as a closer range AD carry, you can see why they banned away the likes of a Kai'Sa.
It does. It concerns me slightly. I mean, Halsey has done a good job coming in as the sub for Liam. However, do you really want to put so much of a team's eggs into the one basket when it is the sub coming in, sort of playing on this stage? Admittedly, he did it a year ago, playing in the final himself, but he's not played all split long.
So this is confirmed to be either Karma AD carry, mid or top. So that narrows it down from 4 roles to 3.
I mean, surely, I was going to say surely Syndra's mid, but it could be flexed for a true Rambo, so who knows what's happening anymore, because the sewer rat is on the rift. We're getting a Twitch game.
Okay, so this is still in that same vein of, not quite Vayne, but Twitch, the aggressive hyper-scaling AD carry that wants to do a ton of damage towards the later stages. But I suspect what we're going to see here is the Renekton versus the Karma, and even though Renekton can remove Karma's shield, she still has the ability to zone him off and control him on the top side, kind of limit his aggression.
I talked about wanting to see a Fiora earlier on in the day, and now I'm going to get to see it. It's going to be Precision, most likely playing Fiora in the top lane into Arc the Dragon's Renekton. It's a matchup you said off stream you did not think favored Fiora at all.
No, I think it's a matchup that does favor Renekton in the past. If you look back towards the grand old days of Season 5, the days of yore, if you will, where Fiora became a really strong champion shortly after her rework, it was the Renekton that came up to match her. People like Marin picking it up because the unpredictable CC can't be reposted. And that's why the Fiora does struggle into it. However, if you start to get a lead in this matchup and you can try and have the nerve to hold your riposte for the right time, this is still a winnable matchup, but it comes a lot down to this 2v2 that has been the clutch matchups in this series so far.
Yeah, there's a lot about this game that's sort of really interesting to talk about. We're going to see, yet again, True Rambo playing the Karma. Did a really good job shoving it up last time. We didn't see the Pyke roaming quite as much as maybe we thought it would in the early game. However, with the Bard back on the table now, I wouldn't be surprised to see that wonderful support player. Regan, he's wonderful. I was just checking that you knew.
Yeah.
Wonderful support player. I think we're going to see him all over the place.
Well, his Bard in Game 1 was so important to them in terms of the way they were able to play the map effectively and get the jungle lead going so they can start making plays elsewhere. So I hope we can see a similar playstyle from him, but it does come down very heavily to the AD carry he's playing with. So if you can see the pressure held by that bot lane against the Twitch Lulu, stop them from just hyperscaling, keep them pressured in, not stall the game out, because now we see once again the teams have adapted by going, these games are going quite long, they're stalling, let's go for a hyper-scaling bot lane to counter that.
Belong Arena Clash finals have something of a history of sometimes going 2-5 games. They did last time around, and right now the T-side Steelers are going to be hoping this one goes to 5 as well, because both of these teams, with the now collapsing dynasty of the Portsmouth Pirates, have the opportunity to make theirs only the 3rd ever name on the back of the Belong Arena Clash trophy. The Pirates, 5 times champions. The Clyde Claymores, 1-time winners. Now the Steelers or the Lionhearts, one of them gets their place in history, but for the Steelers to do that, they've got to bounce back in this game first.
So the weakness here is the wave clear of the bot lane for Steelers. They need to be utilizing this Karma's shove to force them in early, pressure that early game matchup, and then utilize that to get the Bard roaming around, keep the Twitch from getting to those early spikes, and then you force Casanero to play towards the bot side to deny you, meaning the Fiora can maybe even just free scale into fights later on.
Regan and True Rambo looking towards Drazar. They're not quite going to catch the Lulu out, not even able to clear out that ward. Regan gets a meat for his troubles.
Yeah, he's going to at least pick that up. Does give him a little bit of experience as well. So, if you pick up 2 meeps before the first wave, you actually hit level 2 1 minion early, so it can be very effective.
Well, we are going to see an interesting change coming up now, because the Lionhearts and the Steelers both starting with their junglers on the top side of the map, completely polar opposite to what we've seen over the last 3 games.
Casanero already taken that blue buff very quickly for himself. And, so we're going to see both junglers start towards this top side, maybe pathing towards that bottom side, as you see.
No early ganks coming in just yet. That's something that we've not had a huge amount of across this final. Casanero and Lovesick happy to play things slow, to trust in their laners.
You got to think there's a reason this Jarvan was banned in every game so far. So Casanero has shown a lot of strength on it throughout the split. We'll see if he can continue in this game, as it has just been off the table from him, so them giving him the option. We thought they might give him the Udyr, instead they give him the Jarvan, and they're happy to go, yeah, we'll just play the Rek'Sai into it, we'll play an aggressive jungler versus an aggressive jungler matchup, try and match you. And you know, Lovesick, he knows his League of Legends, because he's gone Halo Blades Rek'Sai. That is the correct Rek'Sai build.
At the beginning of the day, we said that our featured matchup would not just be one lane, but it'd be top and jungle combined, and how the two would affect each other. It feels like we spent a huge amount of time talking about Arc the Dragon and Precision, the fact they each dominated, one each for the first 2 games. Casanero and Lovesick, I feel like it's now on them to make their mark in the series.
This Grasp of the Undying Fiora is winning out in the early phases, is giving him the ability to trade that much more effectively, and Renekton just doesn't have that level 3 yet, which is the point at which he does become that much stronger. Real nice stun.
That's a really good binding. Flag and Dragon had to use defensively as Casanero gets himself to safety quickly. Absolute perfection from Regan there.
Really, really good stun again, as he's showing a lot of mastery on this Bard. And Lovesick isn't going to let him get away that easy, as he forces him out, denying the return gank.
Really, really nice rotations coming in from Lovesick. Can I just say, is it bad for me to be glad that we're not going to see any more Sejuani missed ults in this game?
I have to say yes, because the Sejuani, although it did empower the Jax very effectively, the ultimates was something to be scoffed at a little bit.
Subpar, perhaps.
Yeah, and it got worse as the series went on, unfortunately, so it's just take him off the champion, give him something that he can still impact the game on very effectively. We'll see if this Rek'Sai is just that.
It's a lot harder to miss a Void Rush.
It's a lot harder to miss a point-and-click ability. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah. I'm sure I could still manage it in the jungle at some point. Halesy here is playing a completely different style champion with having this Twitch. That late game scaling is going to be massive. The potential for the surprise is going to be there as well. I'm not doing that again today. But the question is, how much is he going to get poked out by True Rambo? So far, not as much as I thought.
But True Rambo, it doesn't matter if he's poking him out or not right now, because what he's allowing himself to do is pick up all this free experience, and Regan is going around warding everywhere, picking up all these chimes for himself, so he's just happy to have an AD carry that can go 1v2.
Yeah, Regan once again roaming around the map, merrily on his way. The Winter Wonderland Bard having the happiest of adventures, managing to land the stun on towards Halesy. True Rambo immediately trying to get the tether, finds himself polymorphed.
And both junglers playing at the top side right now, as you got to look at Ram getting pressured in the mid lane so far.
Up the Dragon pressuring out Precision as well. Yet again, it feels like the Crocodile getting the better of the top lane matchup.
Yeah, and it took a little while. Like we saw, he got shoved in early, but with that, with the levels now being hit for him, his trading potential is there, even though he's slightly down in CS. They are going to both be trying to rush the Tiamat, you assume. to try and get full control of the wave.
And at the moment, the wave being juggled slightly better, if anything, by Precision, getting himself a CS lead. However, Renton having completed the back. Interesting to see him opting into such an early cloth armor. The Ninja Tabby definitely on the horizon.
Yeah, wants to go for that early, the early armor to try and deny that, get the Ninja Tabi, which helps him win the matchup that much easier. But at the same time, it slows down the potential Tiamat timing for himself. And I think Precision might be able to capitalize on that and use the fact that he's got a lot of mobility to just try and play around the Renekton. Increase his ability to wave clear, shove him in, without having a big target on himself to be engaged on.
A nicely timed recall there by True Rambo means that Casanero's attempted gank towards the bot lane does not pay off. Yet again, the roam coming in from Regan hasn't opted into any recalls himself just yet, just trying to get as many chimes as he can in the early game.
That's working out for him thus far, I'm going to say, as Regan's just allowed his AD carry to go not quite even, but a little bit behind, while he's been able to get all this warding pressure down on the bot side, stopping Casanero from coming anywhere near him.
Ram's Scatter the Weeks have been so very on point through the 2 games that he's played that champion so far. Things definitely looking good on that champion for the substitute mid lane of the Lionhearts.
And so instead of setting up a freeze here, they want a hard shove to move towards this dragon.
Mountain Dragon.
Quickly, because they've got the mid lane tempo.
Yep,
Ram not having based yet.
Nice opportunity here for the London Lionhearts to find themselves an early dragon. All that objective damage that will come through now, both onto the Baron and the Dragons, and also the turrets.
Yeah, so that's going to be the first dragon of the game, going to London very early.
Completely for free as well.
Yeah, they're not having to give anything up. It's just using the tempo advantage they got off of the superior recalls and wave shove.
Meanwhile, how's he going? Invisible, potentially looking to catch on to True Rambo. However, instead he just misses out on a couple of CS.
And so now True Rambo just happy to hold on to this. He hasn't quite got to his lost chats yet, which you generally want to have to be able to shove out the wave that much more effectively. But next back, he'll be able to pick that one up. He's going to go for the Ludens again. Not really a target you want to be putting an Ardent Sensor on, so it's happy to just go for the full AP build.
Not a matchup I'm particularly familiar with, to be honest. A Twitch ADC in the current meta up against a Karma APC. It's not one that I can honestly say I've picked up against each other in a matchup, but so far it's quite a bland bot lane.
So traditionally people talk about the fact that Twitch lacks a lot of wave players. We're just going to see Precision get away, but there was actually a change quite a while ago where when he throws down his W, the poison can stack up to 5 stacks onto a target, rather than it just being the initial 2 and that being it.
Lovesick has ultimate available. He flashes forward, he gets the knock-up onto Casanero. Now teleport is being channeled. One more light with the... Oh, that's such a good scatter of the week. Knocking back both One More Light and Casanero. Oh, the Dragon going in on the back of the teleport, giving away first blood to Regan, who yet again shows what he can do.
You know what I love there? The grand challenge is issued in the top lane while he's TPing away, so the heal goes off when he's killed in the bottom lane.
Which makes perfect sense, of course. Casanero gets caught out as well, uses his shield, trying to get himself to safety, flash forward from Ram, gets a kill, and now the nice knockback that's going to be Ram being chased down by One More Light. However, with Lovesick and the rest of the Lionhearts here for cover, I don't think there's anything the Steelers can do to get a kill back. Meanwhile, Fiora continuing the push in the top lane.
The first 2 kills, and you got to say the early game so far going in favor of the Lionhearts. And Precision now being able to clean up a big wave, getting tower shards in the top side because of Arc the Dragon TPing away and getting nothing for it. This is a huge swing for his matchup. He's got to be feeling pretty happy with himself.
He certainly must be. Arc the Dragon returns to the lane, finding himself 500 gold behind, having just given away a kill and 2 summoner spells.
Yeah, and of course that's going to start stacking up pretty quickly. As unfortunately for the Renekton, the fact that Fiora's already gotten the Ninja Tabi means it's that much easier for her to get these kills, to deny these kills where the Renekton wants to find an all-in attempt onto her, and she's just going to have that much more tankiness, that much more sustain to survive it out.
True Rambo is under fire, the expunge is available, the flashback from True Rambo. He literally flashes just to get the inner flame down onto the minions. He gets those 3 CS, but he also gets himself deaded.
Yeah, unfortunately, does end up dying on the backside of it, so when he does burn his flash, it's a bit of a waste, but all the same, he just says, I'm dead to rights anyway, I'm going to just flash for some minions. But
the problem is that flash now isn't available the next time Twitch does that.
Return gank onto him, but the flash being down is not really going to be all that effective considering they need to play towards the top side pretty soon.
Oh, Regan gets caught out by the flag and drag. We know there's no flash available on True Rambo. Regan taking that magical voice, trying to get to safety. Ignite is burning him down. Cataclysm is going to get the kill, and suddenly the kills are equalized in this game. The Steelers have bounced back. This is the first time we've seen the early game lead almost being neutralized.
Yeah, this is the first time they've actually made a comeback play. They've not let the game slip away from them. They are still 1,000 gold down from all these tower shards, but at least the kills going back in their favor. At least they're getting something in response.
We're going to see the tankier build coming out of Jarvan. He got the kill there, making sure that he's got himself 100% kill participation so far. Twitch obviously got a kill earlier on, has already got a BF sword. Herald now being secured by Lovesick. Obviously everything that was happening on the bottom side of the map just opened up the top side for Lovesick.
Lovesick might be able to pick up this Rift Herald for himself, but we got to think, what is he going to do with that? It's not, he's got another 3 minutes in terms of where he wants to use it. He could drop it in that top side and try and snowball the Fiora. He could try and drop it in the mid lane, give Ram a lead, which he's been sorely needing, and with the ability to push the Talia further back into that lane, push Talia under her tower further into the lane so she can start roaming and get vision control of this kind of river entrance to the mid lane. Or do you just drop it bot lane and allow the Karma to start lane swapping? And for me, you have to drop it either for precision to get him snowballing so far ahead that he's going to win the 1v1 naturally on his own, or you drop it for the Karma.
Well, what's happened actually is that we're going to see it placed at the inhibitor turret in the top lane for the London Lionhearts, wanting the slow push up to finally meet up towards Fiora. Interesting decision making.
So the fact that Arc the Dragon doesn't have the TP means that he's thinking, yeah, Arc the Dragon's forced to base, or he's forced to stay in the lane underneath the tower for to wait for this Rift Herald to hit the wave. And it means that we can make a play elsewhere on the map, knowing that Arc the Dragon's pinned under that tower. Yeah,
and with Arc the Dragon pinned down, an Infernal Dragon could be the reward. London Lionhearts showing yet again.
You can't do anything to stop it, that's just the tower, yeah.
Lovesick is going to find himself a little bit of damage down onto the Infernal Dragon. He's got Regan for support. However, this time Casanero is waiting in the wings. Blast Cone is available. One more light, and Drazer already coming around. 2,500 health left on this Infernal Dragon. Casanero has got himself control of the pit. Lovesick's waiting in the wings. We've got ourselves a smite fight, and it's secured as Lovesick take this one. Now what can Rambo and the rest of his team do? Casanero using that Cataclysm, using it to great effect. However, the Tempered Fate is going to stop Drazer on one more light. It actually saves them from the Scatter of the Weak, but Casanero might not be so lucky. Ram picks up one kill. Now he's being forced away from the threaded volley. One more light. Drazer and Halsey are running for their lives, but they've got company. Lovesick is here. He doesn't quite manage to knock one more light off of his wall. Lovesick is actually completely stuck on the wrong side of the wall as True Rambo takes down Drazer. One more light, just wants to hit that threaded volley, but he's not catching it on towards Lovesick.
But that is a 2 for 0 in the meantime, and they're able to get the Dragon, the tower, everything falls their way. And they're going to get likely a bot lane tower shot off the back of it as well. London, they balloon this lead even further. It goes from just 1k up to already 3.5.
Fiora continuing the push in the mid lane. Turret plates being taken here. We're only at 13 minutes, and that plating's still a minute away from falling off. Lovesick taking a turret shot was in a little bit of danger there, but the Lionhearts just continually pushing these leads.
And the fact that they're seeing all these members walk mid lane, True Rambo could even continue pushing the bot lane if he wanted, but is just going to back off for that tempo reset, get some safety.
And safety is exactly what Arc the Dragon opts into as well. I was slightly surprised not to see him going for the turret plating, but wise discretion there as Fiora steps up towards the top lane. There is a small CS lead, of course, for the Fiora. She's completed the Ravenous Hydra already in comparison to the little bits and pieces that Renekton has towards his build.
Yeah, the Renekton, as you say, is still on bits and pieces. Doesn't even have the ability to slow down the Fiora's healing. You can see sometimes Renekton will build a Bramble Vest to try and deny the Fiora her healing. Of course, her Q is on hit, it applies on hits, so when it hits a Bramble Vest, it will apply the on hit back to her. It still works, but even if she just Qs, so it's great at denying healing and stalling this matchup out. Unfortunately, doesn't have the resources to go for it. He'd lose so much damage, and he needs that for wave clear right now.
Again, a near 4,000 gold lead being built up by the Lionhearts. Sin. Things definitely looking bleak for the Steelers. Got to ask you in regards to the scaling. Last time we knew that the Steelers let it go too long, which they did, that their time was going to be up as the scaling came into effect for the Lionhearts. Is the same true again?
The thing I have to say is, even if the 4v4 for the side of the Steelers starts winning, where you've got the Talia, the Twitch, the Lulu, and the Jarvan, they have to all be roaming into Precision's lane to turn this game, because if Precision is winning that 1v1 consistently, All the Lionhearts have to do is sit mid and wave clear, and they win the game out.
Tempered Fate catches onto Halsey. The root is going to be well in place. The Wild Growth not enough to keep Halsey alive. Catanero jumping in, landing the Cataclysm. Lovesick does die after using the Void Rush, but now here comes the chase. True Rambo and Regan trying to get themselves another kill. Meanwhile, Ram is chasing down one more light, able to land a nice knockback, keeping himself safe. Meanwhile, Drazer and Catanero run to the safety of their inner turret, but once more, the Lionhearts looking better in these continued trades.
And so Regan just trying to stop the recalls here in the bot lane, deny some tempo, as they're going to get this free tower.
Doing a really good job of it.
Yeah, they're going to get that second tower of the game, and it feels like they've got more because they've been so dominant. 4K in the lead, Precision is winning the 1v1 consistently. Everybody's winning their own 1v1s consistently now.
And Precision is one of those who's starting to look good as the gummy bear circles around Arc the Dragon. Precision just steps forward free towards the turret. Regan comes in and he is able to just completely zone Arc the Dragon away, even though he's starting to get good chunks out of Precision's health bar.
Ram
flashes beautifully away from the Flag and Drag.
But a really nice scatter the weak to stop the Renekton engaging, and then a flash to deny Casanero, who also blows flash as well, so an even trade.
Yeah, the Demacian King not quite able to show the dominance in the jungle that maybe we would have expected out of Casanero, given that that was the first pick for the Steelers in this game.
I gotta say, I know we saw Ram's games on Malzahar, and he was doing a fine job as just being a utility mid laner, but his Syndra games have been really impressive to watch. I think this is a much better champion for him, and I think he's doing so much more for his team, even without the utility of a Malzahar ultimate.
Completely agree with you. Halsey looking for potential pick himself, not quite able to find those, quite find that damage on the Twitch that, we all know and hate. If, however, he does start to get to a point where he can throw that damage down, and the Cataclysm, maybe circles 2 or 3 people into it, it's gonna be a dead Lionheart team.
It can be really rough. You can't allow the game to go too late because the Lulu Twitch can just get to a point where it one-shots somebody. But like we said, if this game is getting to 25 minutes, they just need to be able to sit back and wave clear mid, stop Twitch from ever having those opportunities, and then allow Fiora to win a 1v1 in top side, which is going to be soon.
We've seen a lot of 1v1 duels in the top lane. This is anything but a 1v1 as Casanero goes in, gets the Cataclysm, nice dodge out for Precision, uses his flash as well. Syndra takes the mid lane turret and Fiora manages to live. We've seen so many great escape plays from Precision today. He's really making a name for himself.
It's between Precision and Regan. They have been on massive form here today. Regan, who, as we said, the captain for the team, the shot caller, has been leading the charge in terms of the playmaking, but Precision has been the one capitalizing off the back of it. He has been the man who's been given the resources to carry, and he is proving that he is worthy of those resources.
Certainly is. 2 Mountain Dragons and Infernal Dragon now in the pocket of the London Lionhearts. They get all of that extra damage to objectives. If before they could have been accused of being slightly slow in trying to take down the Baron, the same will not be true in this game.
Some people tell me that they miss tanks being meta because 0 tanks can be played right now, but then I look at games like these where we're seeing Jax versus Renekton, Fioras and Camille's, and this is where I think, no, this is what top lane is. This is bruisers beating each other up. It's like that one scene of Superman and Doomsday where they just punch each other in the face until one can't get up anymore.
I was never a fan of wet noodles anyway. Meanwhile, the game seems to be getting slightly out of hand for the T-side Steelers. They have still got themselves a route back into the game. They know they can win a team fight if they execute properly. However, they are going to have to time things so well. Last game, we saw great adaptation from the Lionhearts. We need to see something change for the Steelers for them to flip the tempo of this game.
Yeah, they need to find a big play, and where does that play come from? You have to say it's off of Casanero getting a big ultimate down, and Halsey getting a big ultimate down himself off the back of it. Like you said, well, maybe he's got a Runan's Hurricane if you can see that happen. But he's still not level 11. He's still miles away from a Runan's Hurricane. You got to say that Steelers are miles away from really having respite in this game at this current point. So they need to find a way to stall it out. They need to find a way to slow it down and stop this game being accelerated, because it's 3 towers to 0, a 5k gold lead, and double mountain with Baron about to spawn.
I want to see if the Lionhearts can adapt to further time and actually stop this game from stalling out. If they can push the advantages they currently have. It's something we've not seen across this series from either team.
Once again, we're seeing another game where it looks like London Lionhearts are adapting in draft. They chose to go for the Fiora this time around. They adapted their bans. They were the ones to change up their bans primarily and allowing the Jarvan through and going, we're going to completely change up the style of junglers that we're going to be playing. So it's worked out wonders for them. They've been able to get this early game going in their favor still. And it just looks like Steelers aren't quite comfortable with this different setup they've gone for.
True Rambo said to me earlier, just check out our vision every now and then and look at those control wards already down around the Baron pit. 5 seconds until the Baron spawns. They've managed to force the ultimate out of One More Light, who will not have the Weaver's Wall available, and suddenly complete vision control is here. 2 Mountain Dragons are present for the Lionhearts, and they could just turn and take it down so very, very quickly if they want that Baron.
Both teams came in at the start of the day saying they were very confident they could out-macro the others, so it's interesting to see how the macro has gone around. And honestly, it's just been dictated by the tempo they're creating from wave pressure. If they've got the superior wave clear, they're getting the better vision control. It's not been so much out-macroing as out-drafting.
Yeah, that's basically completely true, especially in the last game for me.
Yeah.
The real change around was that Jax. It worked out beautifully. This game, Precision looking good on the Fiora again. Arc the Dragon and Precision, perhaps not the carries you'd expect their team to be, but they're having other people step up in their place. And as I see this, we get yet another duel, and Halesey is here, and despite the nice ripoffs coming out of Fiora, is able to pick up his 2nd kill of the game.
And that's what we said Twitch needed to do. When the Twitch is making plays, he needs to go into the side lane and commit onto the Fiora to make sure the Renekton can win out that matchup. Because the moment you make that a 2v1 that she can't see coming, she's not going to win it out.
Halesey is doing a pretty solid job this game. I'm already liking him more onto this Twitch than I did in the Caitlyn in the previous game. The question is, upon his next recall, having just got that extra gold into his pocket from the kill, what will he be able to pick up? Because it feels like he needs a minimum of 1 more completed item, if not 2.
The runes, yeah.
Meanwhile, Regan stepping forward, taking the journey along with Lovesick. One More Light is the target. That's going to be a nice little binding landing. However, Ram and Regan decide not to follow up this time.
And that's going to be just a denial there. Just nothing really coming of it, as we're seeing the game start to stall out a little bit in the sense of they're just clearing waves back and forth and relying on somebody overcommitting in a side lane to make the plays. We need to see one team actually pull the trigger on a big engage. And this game, there's a lot more engage potential than there was in the previous ones. When we're not just looking at a Sejuani ult and praying it hits, we're looking at a Jarvan EQ Cataclysm, the massive range of that engage. We're looking at a Rek'Sai eating in. We're looking at the potential of speeding up the entire team and trying to chase them down.
4th Dragon of the game spawning in just a few seconds time. So far, RNG has not been kind to the Steelers in this 4th game of the series, having already lost out to a Mountain and 2 Mountains and an Infernal. If that next one to spawn were either of those and the Lionhearts secured it, you would feel like the buffs that they were gaining would be so ridiculously strong.
Yeah, and so we need to see how they utilize this double mountain, because we know they can take Baron extremely quickly now. So Lobsic has been very non-committal to it before. Is it changed now that he's got these double mountains?
Drazar caught out very slightly by Regan, who looks for the Tempered Fate. A flash away from Drazar is good. One more light, throwing the threaded volleys. Not quite caught out by the Scat of the Week. It's going to be Lovesick dashing in. However, he's bitten off a little bit more than he can chew. Uses the Void Rush. Drazar is low. He goes down as Lovesick picks up a kill, but it's a 1-for-1. Halesey getting that one. Meanwhile, Precision pushing things down in the top lane. Knowing there's no chance of the Twitch coming to assassinate him, he's happy enough to continue the push. However, the fight is being forced by the Steelers. They catch out Ram. He uses the stopwatch. However, he's going to be completely caught out by the knockup. Ram gets deleted. Another kill for the Twitch, who is now well and truly online, looking for True Rambo as well, but gets deleted by the Soul Flame. And now One More Light is having to run himself away. Casanero takes the journey, but it's not a magical one at all. Instead, Regan picks up a kill.
And just as it looks like it's starting to go wrong for the side of London Lionhearts with Lovesick going too deep, they clean it up, and they're going to go on to
does it again. True Rambo, every single time over the last 2 games that it's looked like a fight would go in favor of the Steelers, has thrown out a Mantra Q and picked up a kill.
Hey, and guess what? Casanero is dead. They can finally go to Baron. They're rushing it down pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly indeed. 2 Mountain Dragons already. The next one to spawn was an Ocean. That's of absolutely no interest to the Lionhearts. They want this buff. Looks very likely they're going to get it, but Arc the Dragon is looking to clear up some kills on the back of it. The Smite is good. The Portal is there, and that is going to be 5 members with a Baron buff for the London Lionhearts.
Now you're looking at the gold lead as well with 5.5k. They've got the double mountain, they've got the Infernal. How do they set up onto towers? It looks like it's just going to be a 4-1 again, but they've got a decent amount of wave clear. But they need to make sure the Fiora isn't just going to be collapsed on. They need to find a way to shove the waves and get vision between the mid lane and the bot lane. know where the Twitch is when the Fiora is pushing up, and utilize the knowledge of the where the enemy team is to then set up these pushes effectively. Otherwise, the Fiora is just going to die in a side lane again.
What are your thoughts on the Twin Shadows being picked up by True Rambo, despite the fact that he's not running the Glacial Keystone?
I think it can be very useful. It's useful to be able to spot out the Twitch pretty quickly as well if he's trying to sneak around. So I think the fact that Twitch spends such a long time invisible, it's a decent pickup. That
makes a lot of sense. Ocean Dragon is being completely neglected once more. It's almost like it's not a really good alternative right now. What is a good alternative? He's using a Scat of the Week, an Unleashed Power on a Lulu, and it's dead.
Really, really nice Scat of the Week, max range, followed by the Regan binding into the wall. So I think they have to be pretty happy with themselves coming off of that one, as now the Twitch is caught out as well.
Scatter the Week for days coming out of Rob. He has been one of the absolute players of this game.
And to think, this is the guy they put on Malzahar duty for his last 5 games before this series.
The Baron empowered minions are pushing towards the inhibitor turret, not only here in the mid lane, but the precision is still continuing the push. Art the Dragon looking towards him, at least trying to clear out the minions, but inhibitor turret number 1 is absolutely no longer on this rift. Lovesick is stepping forward. He's able to take the inhibitor. One more light doing everything he can, but it's not going to be enough to stop the objective going down. Precision now has got a wave completely primed. The 5 members of the Lionhearts, they're looking for a fight. Can the T-Side Sealers stop this incredible push coming in from the Baron empowered team? Another Scatter the Week onto multiple members.
This is a really nice setup. Now they've got the mid lane inhibitor down. That's a really good push. They've got the vision pressure, and what they're choosing to do is keep Precision fairly conservative in his positioning. He's not pushing all the way into the tower. He's not putting himself at risk. He's just hovering between the lane where his team is and pushing out a wave so the rest of his team can collapse on it soon after. But now, maybe he is overextended.
Regan has got all the components towards an IBG at the moment.
Okay, so an Iceborne Gauntlet Bard just being able to stick to people further. So what his meeps essentially do that already, but it means when you run out of meeps, you're still slowing people on hit. It still works out for you.
That is going to be a pain in the posterior for the T-Side Steelers. The London Lionhearts skipper here, he's done a great job coming back into this final, suffering the disappointment last time round in Insomnia 64, but he's really performed excellently on every champion he's got his hands on, even in the loss that the Lionhearts had so far. And right now, it certainly seems like he's on his way to leading the team to victory.
And that means that this tower's going to go down as well. While Fiora is pushing in the top side, and they know where Twitch is. They've got eyes on him. So this Baron still has a little while left. We'll have to see if they can get any more towers off the back of it, because this huge wave stacking up topside. You can see where the Twitch is. You know where the members are, and if they overcommit to deal with the Fiora, they lose another inhibitor.
The 4-1 push is exactly right here for the Lionhearts as they look to take their second inhibitor turret. Casanero looking for a potential engage. This is it. Do or die time for the Steelers. The Cataclysm is good. Good damage onto Ram, but he uses the Zonius, and now the Tempered Fate comes in as well. Ram staying alive for a while, but he does eventually drop to one more light. Void Rush comes in. Halesey flashes himself away, keeps himself alive. The Polymorph is there, and that's going to be Halesey getting the shutdown. Meanwhile, Precision has already taken an inhibitor turret. He's already taken an inhibitor. They may get the Steelers may get 2 kills, but they lose another big part of their base. They're just about to lose their final inhibitor turret as well.
This is the thing, they're spread too thin. It's lose-lose on all different sides of the map, and it's costing them dearly.
Casanero doing everything he can to help clear out this final inhibitor, this final wave of minions on the inhibitor. That is the only thing really standing right now between the Lionhearts and an almost inevitable victory here at the Belong Arena Clash for the summer split.
This is so close for them, they can't let it slip now. They're still 9k in the lead. The only dragon up is an ocean, so you can afford to just ignore that and pretend there is no ocean there. But they have this huge lead. They have these dragons already. The Baron is still a few minutes from spawning. They need to use these 2 inhibitors and the 2 waves of supers to get the pressure on the map, to force them back into their base, to deny them all access to their jungle, choke them out, and then find a way into the engage without just overcommitting and losing these members like we've seen London do a couple times before.
I asked if it was a good idea to have all the eggs in the Halesey basket. Taking this Twitch, well, all the eggs are well and truly there right now, because he has 5 of the 8 kills for the Steelers team. He has 3.5 items completed. He has to make the perfect set of plays with protection. He's going to start by catching out Regan, who throws the Tempered Fate. Lovesick is waiting in the wings, looking to get the knock-up. However, the knockback is good from one more light, and Halesey is dead. He takes his kills with him back to the fountain, and now it's for the Lionhearts Lionhearts to step in to try and end the game. Precision is pushing in the bottom lane, looking for the final inhibitor. Arc the Dragon doing everything he can to try and help his team clear out the wave, but Lovesick and crew are looking for the end of the game, looking for the end of the series, trying to get their names on the trophy. The Weaver's Wall will stop the minions, but only for so long. 5 members strong still from the Lionhearts. A 20-second death timer for Halsey. Precision stepping forward. Half the damage already down onto the top side Nexus turret. This is just going to be a waiting game now for the Lionhearts. They are absolutely putting their foot on the neck of the Steelers. Castanero takes a big chunk of help. One Nexus turret is already dead. Lovesick is going to step forward and make sure the second Nexus turret goes as well. Nexus falling lower and lower. This could be the final fight as Castanero goes to the Cataclysm. He has the Wild Growth keeping it alive. Drazar's dead, and so is the Jarvan. Reddington does manage to get a kill back, however, the damage is coming through. We have got Halsey back in the fountain once more as Fury removes him just as soon as he comes back. Only Arc the Dragon is alive. The Nexus is gone. London Lionhearts take a 3-1 victory and are your Belong Arena Clash Summer Split Champions 2019.
And at the start of the day, we were saying it's a 3-1. Maybe not the 3-1 we expected here, but a 3-1 nonetheless as the London Lionhearts proved dominant throughout the series.
Massive congratulations to the Lionhearts, who performed absolutely outstandingly. Really, really great plays coming out from so many of their members. Precision, he was phenomenal in the first game. Regan, the returning defeated finalist from last split, coming back and showing just what he could do. Great performance, however, from the Steelers as well, because it takes 2 teams to make a good final, and that was one hell of a good final.
And even though it never seemed like in that game they had a way back into it, London showed up in those last 2 games and showed that that one game was a blip. They managed to pull it back, and T-side, they put up a fight in game 2. They showed that they can play well if they get that early lead, but Precision, when he got those advantages, I mean, Precision played it perfectly. You can't really say much when he's just popping off in every single fight.
We're going to show you some highlights now coming in from what was so great about that last game of the series. After that, we're going to be able to pass over to the stage where Munchables is going to be handing over the second place prizes and also the winner's trophy. But we will be back with some big community awards just after that.
All right, we're all getting cozy here on this stage. What a final we just witnessed. 4 games of absolute barn burner action. And I have both of our teams on the stage. We've got our champions here to my right. And commiserations, guys. I'll talk to you guys first. Unfortunate ending to the series, to the season for you guys in the end, but you've come a long way to make it to second place. You guys have got to be happy with the performance you made here today.
I mean, I'm always happy to come in Insomnia, especially for free. It's fun here. Even though we lost, it's a great time here.
How's the season been for you guys as well? You know, going to the Belong Arena every single week, playing your way to make it to Insomnia. How's that kind of team building experience been for you?
Honestly, I felt like we've really grown as a team. And each week we've been competing really well. It's unfortunate we didn't manage to do as well today, but It happens, and we're okay with it.
All right, final question, and I'll let you guys go. Talk to me about your little mascot that you've brought on the stage here.
It's Toothless. It's our mascot. He's been to every single Thursday game, so I had to bring him here.
I love it. I love that you guys have got a mascot and everything. So we're going to bring some prizes out for you guys for second place. But ladies and gentlemen, can we have a round of applause for the T-Side Steelers? And we've got here some lanyards for you guys with some badges. And we've got you some headsets as well. Guys, come back. We've got prizes for you. Come back. All right, so... All right, and then once you've got your prizes, you guys are free to go and enjoy the night. Go head over to the pub quiz as well and make sure you have a good time. So, round that way somewhere. Thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations as well. And over on my right here, London Lionhearts. Congratulations, guys. You got to be feeling over the moon. 4-game series, but you managed to clinch it in the end. What are the emotions like right now?
Just feels good. Like we just played well as a unit. We got the win, but we got it in a fashion that just makes it feel 10 times better. Everyone played well, everyone smurfed, everyone did what they needed to do, and it was just a bit of a free, well, not free, but it was a good series.
Ooh, a little bit spicy there, a little bit spicy. So talk to me a little bit about how this series panned out, because, you know, there was a lot of comfort picks on both sides. There was a lot of very interesting drafts. How does that differ to your normal solo queue games? How does it differ playing against these interesting champions?
In terms of our draft, we know what our weaknesses are as a team. We know where the weaknesses lie in what players. And it was just drafting a certain thing to let that person do the job they had to do. And then the players that can step up, they did their job, and then we win the game.
Sweet. All right, so last question, and I'll let you guys celebrate. Are we going to see you next season? Can we see a repeat victory next time around?
I mean, you saw me last season. I was in the final. I lost that. Shout out to my last team. But you'll probably see me next season, and you'll probably see me lifting that trophy next season again as well.
All right, I'm excited to see it. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, give a big hand to our champions, the London Lionhearts. Take your trophy, gentlemen. And we have some prizes for you guys as well. Our first place prize, we've got some lanyards with some gold medals on them, as well as a whole bunch of fresh rig headsets for each and every one of you. So congratulations on your fantastic victory here today. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, let's have one final round of applause for our champions. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to our casters for some final announcements.
Final announcements and final analysis as well, because Sin, I know you were desperate to raise a couple of points from that fantastic endgame.
And you know, it must mean so much for them to have come second in their group and go up against the team that did beat them out, come up face to face with their demons and slay them in this best of 5 live on stage. It's got to feel great for them, and they get to walk away with that trophy and the spot in Forge of Champions.
See, the season starts with a T-Side Steelers 2-1 win over the Lionhearts. The Lionhearts literally went straight onto social media and said, we can beat them. They probably never dreamed of an opportunity where the first and second in the group go up against each other in the final, but that's exactly what they got, and they made good on their promise.
Yeah, they're going to be pretty happy coming out of it, especially, like, even though we hear them say we're disappointed it's not a 3-0, they still played so well, and every single member had their moments where they were performing brilliantly, and so they walk out of it deserving winners.
For sure they are. And some other deserving winners as well. I have the pleasure of being able to give out some of our community awards here for the Belong Arena Clash League of Legends. First of all, our community champion, someone who was voted essentially by other people playing in the Belong Arena Clash against them. And that is going to go over to one of the Tyneside Guardians. Here!
Yeah, he has been such a consistent ADC throughout the split, and definitely earned some notice from the community for his strong plays. And even though he didn't make it any further than the semis, he was still so important to that roster. And when they were playing these hyper carry styles, they needed him to be on point every game, and he was just that.
Up next, we have the Fighting Spirit Award, given to one of the teams who we felt really performed both as a community and also admirably in terms of going in. Maybe not necessarily getting the wins they wanted every single week, but showing up nonetheless and being a really great sport. It was someone who we had on stream multiple times, and that is going to go over to the Bristol Smugglers. Anyone with a friendly kraken on their shirt is all right with me.
They were a team that was fun to watch. They had a great spirit around them, and it was definitely enjoyable to see their journey through the split, even though it did end rather early.
It did a little earlier than they certainly would have liked. Maybe next split, that'll be the one for them and they can wear the shirt with pride. We also have got the MVP from the entire split. And despite some fantastic performances from the teams on stage tonight, it actually didn't go to any of their players. Instead, we looked to the Lakeside Leviathans, the semi-finalists, and their man, Exodus.
Yeah, a man who nearly won Player of the Week 3 different times, in fact. He won it on one week. We were forced to give it to his jungler on another week, even though his play was so incredible. And this man, like when they were playing such scrappy games, he was the guy that consistently made the difference to put them over the line.
Definitely one to watch for future seasons. And speaking of future seasons, I can be the first one to officially announce that the winter split is well and truly open for League of Legends. You can sign up right now on the Belong Arena's website. So if you watched today and you thought, you know what, I'd like to be on that stage, I think I could give those guys a run for their money. The opportunity is there for you to go and prove yourselves.
Yeah, it's been such a good community this year, and we've enjoyed a lot of the fun that the different groups have brought together, and we've seen some really strong teams come out of it, and I'm excited to see if any more do sign up next split, especially with the exciting prospects of the horizons, like the things like Forger Champions that started this year.
Our community is so wonderful, not just in Belong Arenas, but also here in Insomnia, that we've had a very honest gentleman just come up to me with a nice Samsung phone, which has unfortunately been left by one of the members of the audience. So if you're missing a Samsung phone, please come over to the esports stage area and hopefully be able to retrieve something that belongs to you. But on that slightly anticlimactic bombshell, we are going to be signing off for the night. It's been a tremendous series.
Thank
Once
you for
again,
joining us, yeah.
Congratulations to the London Lionhearts. I've been Stanley Greyheart Barker, the wonderful man to my right, Stuart Sin McLeod. We'll see you next time for Belong Arena Clash.
That's absolutely right. We're going to be signing off for the night here at I-65, but we have plenty more action coming your way over the course of this weekend. We start today with the T side managing to take themselves the FIFA Championship. We had an Overwatch show match that Belong well and truly won out. And we've had our London Lionhearts round out the day, taking the League of Legends Championship for themselves. But there's plenty more coming your way. Tomorrow, we're going to have our Rocket League Arena Clash. We're going to have Overwatch. We're going to have Mortal Kombat. And then we're going to start our BYOC tournaments as well. So make sure you're tuning in tomorrow at 11 o'clock in the morning. We'll be here. We expect to see you here as I-65 will continue then.